And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. You can get a sneak peek of all of their new and used vehicles by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Here inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you a list of topics and guests for the day. We're going to start the show off with Baylin Trujillo, quarterback guru, going to be joining me here this morning, speaking about the training of quarterbacks, how he got into it, why he got into it, and so much more coming up here in hour number one of Wake Up Call this morning. And then in hour two at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll do what we always do on a Tuesday. We'll have our Bearcat time. And Denai Bowman is going to be joining me from Binghamton Bearcat women's basketball history, as we'll be speaking with the women's basketball alum Denai Bowman, and in my opinion, future Hall of Famer of Binghamton University, about her now being a professional in the world of sports for the last couple years, and very excited about what's coming up for her. And we'll round out the show as we always do on a Tuesday with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's, focusing our topic this week on what it truly means to have genuine friendship. So a lot of great things coming up here where sports meets life. We're going picture in picture here with Baylin this morning, as I said, in hour number one, as we bring him in and finally getting the opportunity to sit down with each other for a few. And I know that you are a proud boy, Dad, and I know we got one of them right there. So Baylin, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. Truly blessed to have this opportunity to be with you on your show. And this is my son Grayson, my oldest. He just turned 3 years old. I have a 5-month-old baby River who's still sleeping. But yeah, it's just been a blessing to be a boy dad. I know it's probably every guy's dream to have a son, but I'm just truly blessed to have two of them. And they're already training to be quarterbacks, both of them. So we're going to continue that trend here in the Trujillo household.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, being a boy dad, having the opportunity to, have, I know you talk about faith openly and about family. And so I'd love to start there because, and being down in the South, right, God, family, football, that's what they say all the time. But when I see somebody speak so highly about their faith and be so open about it, and it's something that you've actually pinned on your X account, I'd love to go into that first and foremost, just why your faith is so important to you and why you are freely sharing that with other people.
Yeah, I just feel like there's always a bigger purpose for our life, and I found that out really early in my life. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents, both big-time Christian. My dad actually grew up Catholic and converted to Christianity when he went to UCF, played UCF. My mom grew up in a Christian home. Her dad was a pastor. Unfortunately, I never met him. He passed away when my mom was younger. But just growing up in a Christian household, just learning, about God early on and understanding like His purpose for my life. And I kind of drifted away a little bit when I got to college, but I always knew I had that root in my heart. And made the decision my junior year of high school to become a Christian full time. There was an event in my life where things were going my way, and all of a sudden was told I had to go back to my former high school that I just transferred from. And through that experience, I gave my life to Christ and just basically said, hey, you have full control of my life. Clearly I don't. And I need to trust that you have a plan for me. And unfortunately for that next year, my senior year, got to go back to the school I just left. Had a really good year, ended up going to University of South Florida and then ultimately at Weber and then playing professionally. So, it all worked out at the end. But yeah, man, I just feel like, what's really the purpose of this life if we're just waking up every day, one day closer to our death? There's obviously something bigger than this. And so I'm very unashamed of my faith in my Lord and Savior. And I think that that's really our call in life, and our purpose is not only, doing what God has called you to do, whether it's quarterback training, podcasting, sportscaster, teacher, nurse, whatever the profession that God has called anybody that's listening in. At the end of the day, our purpose is bigger than that. It's to lead others to Him, because at the end of the day, we all do have an expiration date. We all are going to die. And so the purpose is obviously to lead others to Christ and live in that. And usually if you're doing that in your profession, you're probably enjoying what you're doing. And so I don't have any shame in that. I know I'm going to be accountable for all my action. And I think that, it's good to train quarterbacks to win games, but my ultimate goal is to hopefully lead kids and people and adults and whoever's surrounding my circle, lead them to victory in life. And that's ultimately giving their life to Christ and living a Christian life.
Yeah, and I can appreciate All of that. And like you said, I mean, if you're living for Christ, if you're living for God, then, you're probably enjoying what you do, right? If you're giving so much of that and so much of yourself. I fully understand the days of 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep, all nighters and whatnot. I'm sure you do as well. Why quarterback training? Why was this? I mean, obviously, I know that it's, a part of your history, but why pay it forward? Why give to others? Some people have a career, they finish their career as a player, and they say, okay, you know what? I did the best I could, and now I'm going to move on to something else. Why did you decide to stay within the game and say, no, I've done what I can do. Now I need to train other people and I need to push them forward? Why did you decide to pay it forward?
Yeah, so growing up, played quarterback my whole life. My passion for quarterback really came from watching my dad. He played safety at UCF and linebacker, but he played flag football when I was a kid and in men's league, and he was the quarterback. And so watching my dad play quarterback and enjoy that, that's really where my passion came from, watching him play the position. And then sometimes he would let me play with him when I got a little bit older. And so just, doing that experience as a kid, that was really what really impacted my love for quarterback. And so he did the best he could training me. Again, he had no expertise in playing quarterback other than flag football. As I said, he played, more of the defensive side of the ball in collegiate, but we didn't have trainers like myself growing up. And so, you were told your whole life when you're in youth football, back when I was playing in the, early 2000s, hey, you have a good arm, you're going to be a good quarterback. And so that's really what I really focus on. My dad obviously helped me train in the weight room, had me on a strict diet, putting me in big time, leagues. And sometimes I went to some college camps and stuff like that, but it never really was specialized quarterback work and development. And so my whole life I built the idea of, hey, all I had to do was have a strong arm, throw deep, and I'd make it, right? And so when I got to USF after, doing really good things at Oak Ridge High School my senior year, I was humbled. I was in a situation where I was in a quarterback room with, a couple other quarterbacks and the quarterback coach. And my first couple of weeks of being at USF, he said, okay, go on the board, draw this coverage against this concept. Where's your progressions? How are you going to call the protections? And he's throwing out terminology I'd never learned before. And so I just remember being humbled in that moment, like, whoa, this is bigger than just being able to throw a football. You got to know much more about this position. So when I sat down, I'll never forget, I sat down in my chair in the meeting room at USF, and I thought to myself, like, if I ever had the opportunity to impact a kid, I want to make sure that they never experience what I just experienced in that moment. And so that's really where my passion for quarterback training came, is just in that time at USF and learning the position. And I learned so much that year, being under Skip Holtz and Peter Voss, who's my quarterback coach, and Todd Fitch, who's now at North Carolina, Charlotte, as the quarterback offensive coordinator. And so just learning from those guys that whole year and just really soaking it in and understanding the position outside of just throwing a football, I think that's really where my passion came. And then obviously I learned more as I went to Weber under Coach Leone, and then obviously professionally in the arena game. I just picked up different pieces, and through that process, just really formulated how I quarterback train and develop kids now. And again, it really was to put those kids in position that I work with now, my elite kids, that when they get that opportunity to play college football, that they get the best opportunity possible to compete and get on the field early, because they understand the position much more than just throwing a football. So that's where my passion came.
Well, and like you said, I mean, going up and drawing up a play, right, and knowing exactly what you're supposed to do and what you need to do in that sense, because like you said, growing up, if you had a good arm, they said, all right, you're going to play a quarterback. You can obviously hit some spots, you got some strength there and whatnot, but that it's about, in a lot of ways, outsmarting, right? Tom Brady, we could talk about this all the time. He doesn't have the best arm, but he was the best at playing chess. He was the best at just knowing where to put the ball and when to put it there. So, for you, like you said, to learn that other side of that, to be a more dynamic quarterback and to understand the game and understand the plays and whatnot, you had made the statement, I never wanted somebody else to feel like me when I went up to the board. So how young are you training these quarterbacks to understand the plays? I mean, what are we looking at age-wise when you bring somebody in and you want them to be able to turn around, and if you say to them, hey, show me this play, that they can walk right up to the board and do it?
Yeah, the board stuff doesn't really happen until about 10 to about 14 years old, when they actually understand what's going on and processing things in their brain. So, but I start training kids as young as 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And I don't dummy down the position. I see a lot of quarterback coaches when I talk to them in different spaces. They try to nurture their kids and try to bring them up in a unique way of just dumbing down the position, so that way when they're older they can understand more terminology. I don't do that. I throw 5-year-olds with pro guys. I throw my 7-year-olds with all the elite college and high school. I don't believe in dumbing down this position. This is the hardest position in all sports. And so when kids are younger, like the 5, 6, 7 range, all they're doing is picking up habits, and what they're doing is watching kids, and they're trying to emulate those guys. And so that's why I love with those younger guys or with my older guys, because all they want to do is try to see what they're doing. And when the older guys are doing it right, those kids are going to learn early what it looks like and how it should look like. And so that's why I take pride in my position, and that's why I don't dummy it down. And a lot of parents, they get freaked out when I'm yelling at their 6-year-old, but at the same time, like, I want them to know the severity of this position and how important it is. And so, Grayson, calm down. So like I said, so just not dumbing down the position and making sure that these kids learn early on at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, hey, this is the way to do it, and this is how to do it right, and we're going to rep this thing over and over and over again until it becomes who you are. And then once they get older, like that 10, 11, 12, really 12 years old is really where I dissect the position from outside of the field and understanding, hey, concepts, progressions, protections, and all that stuff. And I have a whole 8-week course on how to do all that. And so I don't really tap into that mind stuff until I really develop them from the ground up, as far as on the field developmentally. And so my job, honestly, is for kids not to come back to me. I really don't want every kid around me, because if they do stick it out, usually they will become elite. They'll live out their dream and hopefully earn offers later on down the road and stuff like that, which is the ultimate goal. But I want parents to know really quickly, I'm not the good job coach. I want to make sure that they understand this position is not easy. And you shouldn't not every kid should get a pat on the back and say good job, when we know deep down that was probably one of the worst throws anybody's ever seen, or mechanically not good. Like, I just take pride in the details of the position, and I do that with my 3-year-old. I mean, my 3-year-old honestly can throw better than a lot of the 5, 6-year-olds that I start out with, because he's obviously getting taught really young, just little things from details of holding a football and stuff like that. But there's really an art in this position, and that's why I just don't dummy it down. But yeah, to answer your question again, is I start as young as 5 to 6, and then I really crank it up when they're between 10 and 14.
And you made the statement of something that I can appreciate, right? We've been living in a society in America where the mentality, where the coaching has now become everybody did a good job, everybody gets a prize, first place and 15th place, everyone gets a blue ribbon. I didn't grow up that way. I'm the grandson of World War II vets. And so to me, I was taught, like, if I didn't make a good throw, then that's on me. If I was playing baseball in the backyard with my dad and I wasn't doing it right, then he's trying to teach me, like, hey, you got to try this, you got to do that. When I'm out there shooting, if my mechanics were off, if I needed to bend a little bit more, to this day, because I love the sport of basketball, played it most of my life, I know my body and I know what I'm doing. And so if I'm not getting where I need to get to, but my form is good, I'm like, all right, you got to bend a little bit more. You got to follow through. You have to do certain things, certain mechanical things to get back into the groove of it. So there's a few points that you just hit here. One of them being the fact that you're not the good job coach. You're not the pat you on the back, everybody did a good job. Why do you feel it's important to be that way in a society that has now decided to honor everybody with a trophy?
Yeah, because it's going to hurt them in the long run. If you're telling a kid over and over again, good job, trying to motivate them, and knowing, again, deep down in your heart that was not a good throw, it was not good mechanics, you didn't do right things, but you're telling them just to encourage them, it's only going to hurt them later on when they're not playing, when they're confused on why they've been told good job their whole life, and yet when it comes time to their high school, they're like, wait, why am I on the bench not getting opportunities? Because their whole life they've been built like, oh, I'm doing good, but in reality, you're not good. And when it matters, when it comes time to when it matters in high school, and you're not getting opportunities, it's because you just weren't developed and weren't told the correct things. And so, again, there's other positions where you can kind of get away with that, but I don't believe quarterback is that position. Again, I just mentioned quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports, no matter what it is. And so kids got to be trained that way. They got to be that's how it should be trained. And that's just my opinion. But I think my formula has worked if you look at the history. And so I just don't believe parents are always looking for that that coach that just like always gives them good affirmation. I'm just not that type of guy. Now, if you get it, you obviously earned it, right? So if I say great throw, it means I honestly believe that and you've done things right to get that. So I'm just always looking for correction. I'm always working on the small details because at the end of the day, that's why these kids are getting trained, right? That's what you would assume, right? They're trying to get better and perfect their craft. And so that's what I take pride in. I'm not trying to waste nobody's time and money. Money's only an issue in the absence of value. I try to bring value in everything that I do. And that's just to make every kid to live out their dream. And so, again, like I mentioned, I don't want you to come back unless you're really willing to work and be the best at what you're doing. And so when I do that and the kid accepts that and the parents are all in, which 99.9% they are, and all parents want to see their kids be successful. Yeah. That's where I take my pride in.
And then, another point that you brought up here with Baylin Trujillo here with us, South Florida quarterback alum, Orlando Predators alum, and founder of BTRU's Advanced Quarterback Camp here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You said playing quarterback is the most difficult position of any sport, not just football. Why put it up there in a world of saying, hey, basketball, hockey, baseball, soccer, whatever you got, this is the most difficult position? Why do you believe that?
Just because you are the unit of pretty much everybody's responsibilities. I mean, you have to make sure that everybody's accounted for. You got to make sure your offensive line knows what they're doing, the receivers are doing. You have to understand a whole entire playbook. You have to understand a whole entire defense. Like there's just so much that comes in the pressure of that position where you literally control the outcomes of games. And I know that there's a lot of individual sports like boxing, tennis, golf, whatever. Those are like more individualized, specialized, bowling, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you're the quarterback and you're the leader of a football team of 110 men and the guys are all looking at you to execute a play perfectively, obviously go through, progressions, get the ball to the right person and understand what the other side of the ball is doing, not just what you're doing, but what they're doing. And that's on a consistent basis, every single play. It's just a lot of pressure that comes with that compared to a lot of other sports and positions where you can kind of get away with maybe taking something off here or, miss assignment here. You can't do that quarterback. You can get seriously hurt. And so it just comes a lot with this position. And I just believe if we're all honest, if we go through every single sport out there, you have to have every single trait to be effective and efficient and to be elite at the quarterback position. And it takes a lot of detailed work to do that.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, and usually, right, when it comes down to a team doing really well, the positivity, the accolades go to the head coach and the quarterback. And when the team's not doing well, it goes to the head coach and the quarterback. You, like you said, you played at South Florida and at Weber. And at South Florida, I've covered for over a decade. I like what Alex Golish is doing there right now. Just to go back to your time collegiately in South Florida as well as at Weber and what you took away there. If there was anybody that mentored you in those two stops that you felt like still has ripple effects to this day and how you train a quarterback.
Yeah, Peter Voss, he still connects with me from time to time to this day. That was my quarterback coach. That was the guy who recruited me at USF. He's working a lot of Adidas All-American camps now. He's not coaching college football anymore, but he still stays in contact with me. We've found each other on social medias and stuff like that. And he just really was the person that taught me the most at the position. I was under, BJ Daniels when I was at USF in 2011 and 12, and just really watching how he prepared himself every single week through the stuff that he was learning through Coach Voss. I really picked up a lot of that stuff, and I had Bobby Eveld there as well, Matt Floyd. And so we had a pretty good, solid quarterback room, and there was no egos in the room, which was very important for me, especially not understanding a position at a high level. Those guys really did a good job, especially BJ, of taking me in and really showing me what it was to be a good quarterback and how to prepare that way. And so Coach Peter Voss, probably of all of the places that I've been, spent the most time with me. I know I learned a lot under Coach Leone, who's now coaching big-time Division I football. He was my offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Weber. But, just the stuff that I learned with Coach Peter Voss, that really changed my perspective on the position and understanding it at a high level. And then getting outside of football, I've had really good mentors who I've actually brought out on my team, like Quincy Carter, Steven Garcia, Kurt Warner. Those guys do a lot of, they do a good job of reaching out to me and keeping me sharp in my game as well as I do with them. We're in this little, tight knit family where I've got a pretty good staff around me and my business through my quarterback training and my advanced QB camp. Where we talk and communicate all the time about how we can be more effective in what we're doing. And so learning from those guys as well, Kevin Olson, Greg Olson, just the list goes on, Peter, Charlie Ward and Jeff Blake. I mean, these guys are all part of my staff and have been on multiple things with me in my virtual schools and in camps. And so just learning from those guys has been great. But as far as me playing, like you said, in college, the person that stands out the most and who still is in communication with me is Coach Peter Voss.
And like you said, you just mentioned a bunch of individuals and guys that have played in the NFL. How did you build this, right? Because you go and you play in college, you play for the Orlando Predators, you've done some other things professionally, and obviously, I looked into your story before we started talking here today on how I believe that you were asked to come in on a Friday and played on a Saturday, and you're throwing multiple you threw a touchdown, and then here we are with a 6-touchdown game, and you continue to move forward because it's something in your veins. When you decided to build your company, though, how did you get this thing off the ground? How did you did you already have the network of connections? Did you have to build those through showing yourself? I mean, as a business owner myself, I love to hear the story of how you did it, how this thing started to come up, because there's a grassroots element to it, and there's obviously people that care about relationships and transactional people. It sounds like you're a relationship guy. So I'd love to know how this business got started.
Yeah, it's all about networking. That's what I fully believe in. My mom, I give a lot of my credit and success to her. I've watched her growing up. She was the vice president of merchandise strategies and marketing for Disney for 15 years. Then she became the vice president of HSN, Home Shopping Network. And then she became the vice president of the Lakeland Magic and partnered with the Orlando Magic. And now she has her own consulting business, and she's partnered with Echelon and Big Time Cruises. And so watching her market herself and her products and her business my whole life has really helped me strategically plan how I market my stuff through social media. And I think I've mastered social media. I think that's really a big reason how I was able to connect with a lot of NFL guys, because they were watching my stuff. When I first started my business in 2015, I put everything out there. I put all my videos, all my training stuff out there. I didn't hide anything. And of course, that was being my authentic self. And so when these other quarterback trainers and these quarterback coaches and former NFL guys are watching my stuff, they're reaching out to me like, hey, they're saying, I like your stuff. Let's connect. Let's like share ideas. And so building that network since 2015 all the way up till now, it's always been being my authentic self. And I think, obviously there's always more to learn, but mastering social media, especially platforms like Twitter and Instagram, I think I've done a really good job of marketing myself, my business, and the kids that I train. It's able to reach out to multiple people and then them reaching out to me. A lot of the people that I've connected with actually have reached out to me directly. It's not like I'm out there trying to DM everybody and stuff. No, Quincy Carter reached out to me. Kevin Olson reached out to me. Kurt Warner reached out to me. Greg Olson, Steven Garcia, like all these people were, getting in my DMs and saying, hey, we like what you're doing, man. Let's see if we can work together on some stuff. Let's connect and let's see like how we can build this thing both ways. And so it's been a blessing, man. And, I think that's what really separates myself from a lot of the quarterback trainers. I'm willing to put the extra work outside of just the football field. I'm promoting kids all the time. I'm connecting with coaches all the time. I'm marketing that. I'm being authentic. I'm showing receipts. That's like the new terminology these days. I'm not hiding anything. I'm very transparent in what I do. Some people don't like it. Some people like it. At the end of the day, it's for the kids. And so, again, through social media and marketing my business and being authentic is how I've really been able to build relationships and have people come in and try to, partner with me or trying to rub ideas off. And, you mentioned something earlier, and, a lot of people say that when I go on their podcast, QB guru, but I don't really like that phrase. I'm always wanting to learn more. I'm always wanting to, evolve and get better. I don't think I've ever perfected anything. I always want to strategically get better. And that's by connecting and building a network around other people and stuff like that. And so Just like, being on this podcast, connecting with you, who knows what this relationship will be down the road.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that, man. I just really take pride in that. I don't have an ego in this game. A lot of quarterback trainers, they have egos. They don't want to connect. They think that they got it all. They don't want to hear from other people. They look at competition like, I don't want to connect. But at the end of the day, I don't have that. If it's about the kids, if we're all trying to, get better, feeding ideas, whatever that looks like, I'm all about that. I'm all about connecting, networking, because I've seen how it's been beneficial for my business, been a beneficial asset to other people. So that's what I'm about, man. I have no ego in this. I'm always trying to learn and always trying to get better.
Well, and I love that, and I can appreciate that. And I've heard other people, call you that from other interviews and whatnot. But and I value the fact, like you said, I want to surround myself with other people, learn from them, right? And I say that all the time. Like, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Like, I want to learn from other people. You've talked about some of the quarterbacks that you've worked with and the quarterback coaches, and if you go on and look at your social media for BTRU's advanced quarterback camp, we're looking at, like you said, Kevin Olson, Quincy Carter, Steven Garcia, Zach Darlington, guys that are a part of this with you. What do they, like, when you say I want to be surrounded by people that can teach me, that I can learn from, what do these gentlemen bring to the table that made you feel like, hey, this is a good fit, this is a good team of quarterbacks to have that can help me get these kids forward?
Yeah, I think it goes back to ego. None of these guys have big egos. Now they do; they take pride in their work just like I do. But it's really, like I said, a lot of these guys reach out to me. A lot of the people that you mentioned, they're the ones reaching out to me, and so they're actually learning from me as I'm learning from them. So it's a great partnership where you have two people with no egos that are trying to learn and build things. Steven Garcia is one of them. I mean, he's really the first one that I brought into my camp business, and he's literally an hour and a half down the road. So you can look at that like competition. Right, he's in Tampa, I'm in Orlando, so that there could be an ego thing there, but never was. It was like, hey man, I love what you're doing in Orlando. Let me come work with your camp here, and then if I'm ever in Tampa, you want to come to Tampa, let's work together. So that's always been a big piece, man, and just not having an ego in this. That's how we've been able to connect and bring guys into my camp, and it's again all about the kids. If we really drive about the kids and trying to bring the best, it doesn't matter who has this tag on this kid or who's trained this kid. At the end of the day, we can't always be at the same place all the time, right? And so where kids are all across America, I've trained kids from Alaska, I've trained kids from Canada, I've trained kids from Oregon, Washington, California, Texas. They all fly in, but they also have trainers where they're at. So, being able to be on the same page and have no ego in this, man, that's really where, the learning comes from, and feeding off ideas and not being afraid to share things that you're doing that you might think is different from what someone else is doing. And it's like, no, take my stuff, man, learn from this and build on this. There's a big platform called QB Movement out there in Canada. And I've taken a lot of stuff and tweaked it a little bit, but they do really good drill work. And, I've reached out to them on social media and said, hey, man, like when you see stuff on my videos from the kids that I train, a lot of the stuff that I kind of tweak is from what you guys do. And it's just, again, that no ego, man. It's really cool to see in this space. And then the flip side, there is people who do that have egos, and they don't like some of the stuff that I'm doing or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm not there to please them. I'm there to get the kids where they want to go, learn and be the best version of myself, and then ultimately giving God the glory at the end of the day. Because it's not what I'm doing, it's what he's doing through me that's helped build this thing and build this network of people around me, and obviously what I'm doing through the kids.
Yeah, and when you talk about, like you said, as a kid growing up, people would tell you, hey, if you got a good arm, then you're in good shape. But I want to go to something else, and something that doesn't get spoken about a lot, but I love that. So, little man with the helmet on, absolutely love that. So, when we look at he's already ready. The footwork.
I told you, man. You train them young. If you teach them, that's all they know. That's all they're gonna like, right? So
yeah, and that's a big thing, right? And I always said that I was like, if I'm blessed enough, because I've always wanted to have kids of my own, I was like, if I'm blessed enough to do that, then my intent is to make sure there's things in the crib, things that they see.
Dude, that's the key. A lot of people put stuffed animals and stuff like that. I only put a football in my son's crib. That's all he could play with. So every time we're watching him on the monitor when we're downstairs and he's in his crib alone, he's literally flipping the football, looking at it, touching it, throwing it over the crib. So that's what he got used to. And that was like an easy strategic thing that I did for him. That's like literally that's all he knows. And that's just literally what he carries around everywhere he goes, this football, man. And so it's just been funny to watch. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. So Lord willing, when you do have kids, which I believe you will, if that's what the Lord wants, that's a strategic thing to do, is put a football or any type of ball in the crib, and that's all they play with, because that's all they're going to know.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of sense, and to the point that I was gonna speak on here. We hear about quarterbacks all the time. Arm strength. How much arm strength do they have? And it's all about the arm. But to me, when I'm talking with people that have trained quarterbacks and coordinators and quarterback coaches and head coaches and whatnot and former quarterbacks, I love to talk about the footwork. You put your videos out there, and what I love about your videos is I'm watching these guys that you're training just move around the field. And before they make that pass, they're utilizing whatever you're training them footwork wise to really establish themselves and get comfortable on the field in pressure situations. So I'd love to go to the feet and not to the arm, and why you focus so much on footwork.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because that is literally what I call myself. I'm a footwork specialist that trains quarterbacks. That's what I believe in. I'm a very firm believer, and I learned this very young, that good feet equals good ball. I'm not a mechanical guy. I won't really fix mechanics because then quarterbacks are going to start thinking. I don't want them to think. I just want them to play. And so if I get your footwork right, I'm pretty sure your ball's going to come out because it's going to obviously correlate with what you're doing with your feet. So I really focus on the details of drops. How you move in and out of the pocket, off platform stuff, the new age of things. That's really where a lot of these guys reach out to me because they like some of the work that I put out, and especially the off platform stuff, the stuff that is different than what we're used to in the game of just being a pocket passer. And I really take pride in that, and my kids really excel at that. A lot of the stuff that you see on social media, a lot of these kids do a really good job of doing the out platform stuff, which is obviously the hardest thing to teach. But aligning your feet with how you throw on and off platform, controlling your body, and having full, complete body control is hard, and that's what I take pride in. And so, yeah, man, I'm a footwork specialist. Good feet equals good ball. That's my slogan, and that's what I really focus on, the details, aligning your body, making sure everything is lined up, whether you're in the pocket, out of the pocket. On the run, or just moving and evading defenders, making sure you go back to base, get to where you should be, so that way your ball is accurate all the time, every time, and on time. That's very, very critical in this position.
And when you look at the footwork side of things, there's some people that believe in the fact that you have to be a dual threat quarterback. You have to be able to throw, but you got to be a running back of sorts. And there's some that say, hey, you know what? They call themselves a purist, and they say, I like a quarterback that could be in the pocket, obviously have good footwork, but is going to remain in the pocket, trust their line, and make the throw. What are your thoughts about the world that we live in today? Because obviously you care about these kids and you want to protect them and put them in the best position possible. Is the dual threat, is that truly the way to play? Is it pocket passer? Is it still to their specific talents, or do you feel like the world has been pushing toward one direction or the other?
Yeah, I think that the way the game is played now, you have to be an athletic quarterback. You can't just be stagnant like your typical 6'5", 220-pound quarterbacks where they used to look back in the day. You have to have some ability to escape, ability to extend plays on your feet. And that's really where my off-platform stuff goes in my training. A lot of the kids that I actually train are more pocket passers, and I'm putting in their toolbox how to use their body to go on the run to make you look more athletic and be more efficient with your feet instead of just standing in the pocket. But at the end of the day, I think that, you obviously that's going to help you get recruited at the next level. That's why you're starting to see smaller quarterbacks get recruited. Again, it's not your 6'5" kids anymore. Now it's your 5'11" to 6'1" quarterbacks that are excelling at the highest level because they're able to be athletic and more active with their feet. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think it all does come down to you're a pocket passer first, then you become an athlete. At the end of the day, everybody's recruiting a quarterback to throw the football, not really so much rely on your legs and your feet, because we see a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. What are they? Injury prone, because they rely a lot on their feet to become active and to become efficient. Where at the end of the day, most, if not all, quarterback coaches and OCs want quarterbacks to be able to stand in the pocket, evade defenders, and extend plays inside the pocket and still make accurate throws downfield. Because at the end of the day, if you're running more than you're throwing, you're probably putting yourself in a bad situation overall. And so, hey Grace, I'll put it on later for you, okay? But you got to put it on now. I'm on the podcast talking about you, actually. But yeah, so I think that obviously you have to be an athlete now to play this position at a high level. But at the end of the day, I think pocket passer, being a pure passer, I think is really where these college coaches are focusing more on. But if you can extend plays, that's where you're going to get recruited at a higher level instead of your Division twos, your NAIAs, your D3s, JUCOs. If you're able to extend plays and be accurate inside the pocket and outside the pocket, that's when you start getting really recruited at the Power 4 and FCS level in high school. And now, again, with that being said, the size doesn't matter anymore. It's now how can you play? And so I think that's why a lot of college coaches like my stuff, because I am showing through my training videos, maybe some of the stuff that they're not showing on the field because they're being a pocket passer. I'm able to send college coaches training videos of these guys working off platform, throwing on the run, which now checks off that box. Oh, they can do it. Now we can move forward in the recruiting process. And so that's also another advantage that a lot of my guys get, is I'm able to send these training videos to these college coaches and saying, hey, just because you don't see it on film, here's him being athletic. And I'll give you a perfect example. Noah Grubbs, who's top 10 in America, committed to Notre Dame at Lake Mary High School right now. He is a pure passer. He is your 4'8", 4'9", 5 flat 40, but he is going to stay in the pocket and deliver the football. He's thrown 103 touchdowns in 2 years. Unbelievable stats. But my training videos that I send to college coaches, which ultimately land him at Notre Dame, he's able to show he can do everything on the run. He can do everything off platform. He can make easy, hard throws look easy, to his left, to his right, on the move, evading defenders. And that's all through my training videos. And You're not going to see that at Lake Mary because a lot of their stuff is pure progression reads. He's standing in the pocket. He doesn't have to move. He's got a great offensive line. He's been sacked 3 times in 2 years. You're not going to see that athletic ability. So what? Colleges are not just going to offer him because he's a pure passer? No. Through my training videos, I'm actually showing the other side of his game that he might not be able to show on film because he has such a great offensive line. Through his offense, he's just a pure passer. So that's a little thing, to kind of answer your question there. But at the end of the day, that's why it's important to get with trainers that market kids so that college coaches can see those extra boxes that they have to check off before they offer a kid, because not every film or every, school is going to showcase the abilities to do other things that these colleges are looking for to be athletic and not just a pure passer. But at the end of the day, man, you got to play this game at a high level regardless. And if you're a really good coach, you're gonna tailor your offense towards, the quarterback's strengths. And so if he's a pocket passer, we're going to be air raid, straight spread. If he's a dual threat, we're going to go RPO, and we might do some air raid concepts, but we're going to use his strengths to his abilities. But that's why these college coaches know what they're looking for, because everybody has a scheme, and that's how they're going to recruit. Just because you have an offer from Florida or Miami doesn't mean you're going to get an offer from Florida State. There's 2 different offenses, 2 different schemes. They're going to recruit the guys that fit their scheme the most, and that's what coaches do now at the next level. But that's why it's hard to find really good high school coaches, because they believe in one terminology, or they believe in one system, but their quarterback doesn't really line up. And that's why they lose a lot of games. This quarterback might be so talented, but they're losing because it doesn't fit their mold. Good coaches know how to obviously surround themselves and put their quarterback or their players in the best position to be successful based off their talent and their abilities. And that's why it's really hard to do that in high school.
And you spoke about that, and it's something that I've talked about a lot. Square peg, round hole. And are you building for your actual? Are you building around the players that you have and the skills that they have, or are you trying to force them into a system that they don't really fit? And I've seen different coaches do different things. I've seen a coach say, okay, we're going to build around this guy who's an RPO guy. He's a running guy. He could take off and make really big plays in the open field. And then they get the next guy who's a pocket passer, and they built the offense around him, and then he doesn't change that offense. And then this kid isn't doing well. And then the fans are going after the kid saying this guy's a failure, when in actuality, that guy's in the NFL right now and the guy before him is not. So there's a lot to be said about what you just said, and echoing that through the world of football. Before I let you go, Baylin, to look at a few different things, I do have to ask you, I know that you're in the Orlando area, and UCF's another team that I've covered over the years, and you went to South Florida, but you got the U right behind you. So I got to ask you why.
Yeah, so my mom, my dad, who played at UCF, my wife went to UCF, my sister went to UCF, her husband went to UCF. I have a lot of UCF people in my family. They did not recruit me out of high school. USF did, so it wasn't really UCF's fault. I think I still would have done a different path anyways from UCF, because I wanted to start my own name. Obviously a lot of legacy kids, kids go to where their parents played. Yeah. I was kind of the rebel, obviously, and went to the rival school. Not much of a rivalry, but it should be. But yeah, go Bulls on that. But they recruited me. UCF didn't. They already had their guy when I was coming out of high school, so it wasn't like that opportunity was there anyways. But yeah, go Bulls on that. But I'm a Hurricanes fan because my dad was born and raised in Miami. His whole family lives in Miami. And so growing up as a kid in the, late 90s, early 2000s, who was the top school in America? It was the Miami Hurricanes. And so watching them as a kid and how, freaking awesome they were. Unfortunately, we've kind of gotten away from that. So as a fan, it's been tough. But, growing up as a kid, just watching the Hurricanes play football was just different, man. It was everything, a kid could dream of, from quarterback play from Ken Dorsey to just all the talent, man, from the 2001 team. That was like really the first season. I was 10 years old that I really watched and was all about college football and, having my Saturdays ruined if we lost a game. So like, those were the times, man, when I was a kid. I was like, man, Miami Hurricanes, I want to be a Hurricane. And they obviously didn't recruit me out of high school, or I would have went there. But I had a cool experience, got to play against them in 2011. I redshirted that year, but we played against Miami at USF. We lost 6-3, but it was a pretty cool, epic moment to be a part of that. But yeah, man, I just grew up a Hurricanes fan because they were at the top of the game. My dad grew up in Miami. And so obviously going down there a lot as a kid and being around and going to games, it was the time to be a Hurricane fan. So that was my era as a kid, and that's what I drew to because my dad's from Miami, and so that's what it is. And my uncle went there, and so now I like I tell all the kids, right, chase your dreams. And so I was like, one day my wife actually just graduated with her master's in nursing at the University of Cincinnati. She's from Ohio and Columbus. She went to UCF and got her master's at Cincinnati in nursing to be a nurse practitioner. And I'm like, what? Why not chase something that I want to do? I just mentioned earlier, we only live once, right? Once I die, it's over with, right? And so why not do things that you can do while you're alive? And so I applied for the master's program at Miami just to say, hey, if I get in, I'm going to school there. And sure enough, I got accepted into their online master's program in sport administration education. Yeah. And I'm like, shoot, let's go. So now I'm going to get my master's. I start September 1st. In my master's program, which is a 20-month program, and I look forward to eventually being an alumni and being an actual Hurricane and having some stake in the game and having my master's, and I'll probably have my degree posted up on this wall, and that's going to be such an epic moment, walking across the stage as a graduate and becoming an actual Hurricane. I think that's just, part of living the dream. So why not do it? I have the means to do it, and you live once, and so why not? So now I can say, so once I get that degree, when people say, hey, where'd you go to school? I say, look, I played football at USF and I got my degree at Miami. That's what I'm going to say. Or I'm going to say I played football at USF and I went to school at Miami, so I'm going to be able to say that down the road. But yeah, man, that's why I was a Hurricane fan, just because my dad grew up in Miami, and that's really spent most of my childhood. And at that time, Miami was at the top.
Well, I love that. And it goes to show that, God is good and your story is always being written, and there's always an opportunity to bring it all back together. And so I am so excited. First and foremost, congratulations. And I'm very excited about the opportunity of having you, obviously back on the show before that, but having you back on the show when you get that degree and we can celebrate it and you can show it right here on Wake Up Call, throwing up the U here. So I do have to ask you, as a quarterback guy and a guy who's training them all the time, all throughout the year in a state that has so much talent, I do have to ask, the number one pick of the 2025 NFL draft, Cam Ward, went to the U, right? So he is now the Tennessee Titans leader. I'd love to get your thoughts on what you see from him as a quarterback. And then I'm fresh off a couple days ago interviewing the new quarterback of Miami, which is Carson Beck. So I'd love to get your thoughts on who Cam Ward is on the field and who Carson Beck is, from somebody who spends their life training the quarterback position, just what you see from these guys.
Yeah, Cam Ward is generational talent. That's a once-in-a-lifetime talent, and it's sad that it took this long for the world to appreciate that, because he had such a unique story. But, going to high school didn't really put him in the best position to really showcase his abilities, right? He went to a triple option offense, and he was a pure pocket passer that was athletic to do things with his legs. And so, what we just talked about, high school coaches gearing towards your quarterback strengths. I don't think that was for Cam Ward in high school, but that's why he got 0 offers coming out. They want to see him throw the ball more. He threw, a total of 18, 20 passes his senior year. That's not going to get you any scholarships. So he went to a camp, got a scholarship to Incarnate Word, which is a brand new program, lit it up there. goes to Washington State, has a freaking crazy two years there, and then goes to Miami. Now is the number 1 draft pick, and now is going to lead Tennessee to hopefully some good things. So he's a generational talent. He does a lot of the bad things good, right? We talk about off-platform, throwing crazy balls here, putting in tight windows. He does all the things that most quarterbacks won't be trigger happy to do. He does it, and he has confidence in doing it, which is why he's able to do it. And so, with Shannon Dawson's offense, I think that really helped him. Obviously, being surrounded by a great offensive line, talent all around him at receiver, great running back core. That really helped Cam Ward elevate his status of being who he was. And, of course, he did a lot of things that most quarterbacks aren't doing, like taking hits against Virginia Tech and flipping the ball out and still making a big-time play, or, leading a 25-point comeback against Cal on college game day at 1 a.m. in the morning. Like, just doing things that he did, that's hopefully, as Miami fans, not taking for granted. And then on the flip side of that, Carson Beck does a lot of the – Grayson, I get it. You're excited about Carson Beck, okay? But, yeah, Carson Beck does a lot of pure passing things and pro-style quarterback. He does a lot of those things well. I think that, he gets a lot of slack. Remember, this was a guy that was projected the number 1 or top 5 draft pick last year if he didn't come back to Georgia, which, betted on himself and unfortunately had, statistically not a good year compared to what he did the year before. But at the end of the day, people don't also want to talk about how Georgia had the most drops in all of college football last year, the most drops. And so didn't help Carson Beck at all with his stats, right? And so you got to catch the football. But at the end of the day, I think with Shannon Dawson, what he doesn't like a, dual threat type of guy. Cam Ward is not a dual threat. He just did a lot of good things with his feet. But he stretched the field with his arm, and I think Carson Beck can do that. And I think, giving him time with a great offensive line and a great run game, it's going to set up the big-time passing plays and stretching the plays vertically. And I think Carson Beck does a really good job of that, and I think he's going to fit just good. I mean, if you look at Shannon Dawson's offense, the guys that he does the best with in his offense, which he had a really good stand in Houston, obviously West Virginia, now Miami, is pure pocket passers that are able to extend plays with their arm talent being explosive. And that's exactly what Carson Beck does. Obviously, I hope the injury is full go and he's healed from that. That's going to be a big factor in why they give Carson Beck a lot of money, because they know the arm talent is there. So if he's 100% healed by Notre Dame, you're going to see a lot of special things with Shannon Dawson's offense, obviously being an air raid type deal. That's going to really showcase Carson Beck, hopefully get him back in that top 5 conversation of being drafted next year, which is why he went to Miami, let's be honest. Could have went to anywhere else, but he went to Miami for that reason. And so I'm excited to see what Carson Beck does. But 2 different athletes, but they're in the same offense. I believe they carry the same characteristics as being, from the pocket and being able to stretch the ball vertically. That's going to give Miami an opportunity to be great this year, and I'm excited to see what Carson Beck does. I think that was really the piece that we needed to continue this train. If we didn't get a transfer portal quarterback, I do believe Miami would have had they would have struggled this year mightily. But because they added Carson Beck, which I was actually more of a fan of the meter kid from Washington State when he went to Oklahoma, I was hoping we'd get him. But Carson Beck was the number 1 quarterback in the portal at the time, and that's who Miami wanted to go after. And Shannon Dawson knows what he's doing, and I spent enough time with him to know what he wants to do offensively. And so I think Carson Beck's going to fit the mold just perfectly for what he wants to do, and that's going to set my guy up for next year when he enrolls in December, Darion Coleman, who's committed to Miami, who I honestly think is the best arm talent I've ever trained and developed since he was 10 years old. So that I take pride in that, him being the next Hurricane after Cam Ward and Carson Beck. Then you're going to have Darion Coleman going to fit the mold come in December, and he emulates a lot of his game after Cam Ward. He is a pure pocket passer that can run. He's very explosive in the run game, so he can do things with his feet. He is fast. He runs a 4.6 40, but he is a pure passer and does a lot of things that Cam Ward does. So I'm very excited about Darion Coleman and what he brings to the table here in December after his senior year.
I love that, and I can appreciate that, and I'm excited for that coming up here after this season, and obviously happy for Carson Beck and looking for some big things. Now that I know that you're a guy for the U, I guess I have to apologize for this past season when my hometown of Syracuse, New York, kept the U out of the college football playoff. So my bad on that, but I was also very excited about that because Miami and Syracuse were the last time that Miami came to the Dome in my hometown of Syracuse, New York. They were both in the Big East. That was November 30th, Saturday, November 30th, 2002. Exactly 22 years to the day, Saturday, November 30th, 2024, Miami comes back as an ACC foe. And in 11 years at the time that Syracuse had been in the ACC, they had never played Miami at home in Syracuse. And so Miami got him in 2002. Syracuse got him in 2024. So I mean, listen. You got it 20 some odd years ago, but Syracuse is coming to Miami this year. They're going to be out in Coral Gables, so we'll see what happens in that respect, Baylin. But you and I do have a connection in that world, so I'm going to be circling that game. Maybe we should talk the week of that game.
Should I get you on the sideline if you really want to?
Let's do it.
You might not be able to wear Syracuse orange gear, but you can be an orange, that's for sure.
I can have my orange on. So I would love that. Love the opportunity for that. We got to talk about that for sure. And before I let you go, we do something called Rapid Fire. And that is when we have the opportunity to talk about literally any topic, put each other on the hot seat and have some fun with it. Any question in the world we got to answer. And Baylin, you've been so great talking this morning about a lot of different things, so you can ask me the first question.
What made you want to be a podcaster?
Well, I got into broadcasting, really honestly, the way to kind of bond the whole story. 5 years old, my dad had a word processor, which to a lot of people is a glorified typewriter. And it allowed you the opportunity to see what you were typing, which a lot of typewriters did not have that screen. And so at 5 years old on a Saturday morning, I'd get up and I'd say, Dad, can you get the computer? Can you get the word processor? And my dad would say, yeah, I'll get it for you. And my dad, it was really heavy, come put it on the kitchen table, open it up, put some paper in there, and I would just write stories. Always had a big imagination. I also started collecting cards around probably 9 or 10 years old, and I realized I had a photographic memory. I could flip the card over and just take the stats and remember the stats, and I would talk about all this stuff. So I love bringing people together. I love making people laugh. I love talking about God and telling stories. So all of this just started to mold together, and then I saw SportsCenter, and I saw Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen, and I thought, man, I really like the way that Stuart Scott is just unafraid to be who he is. And I'm the type of person where I want to be unique. I want to be original. I want to be innovative. I don't copy anybody. And when people say, how do you know? I'm like, well, I don't watch other shows. I'm too busy working. And so when I'm doing what I'm doing over the years, it just kind of molded into this, I want to be a broadcaster. This is what I'm going to go for. I wanted to be on ESPN. I want to be on SportsCenter. And so I started a show in college that's still being used this day for NCAA Division III men's and women's basketball at Marywood University. I called it MU Courtside. It might be called something different now. And so, did all of that work, then worked at ESPN in 3 different states, was down in Orlando on ESPN 1080 The Team at the time. And so I think now it's CBS or NBC or one of those. And so I had the opportunity to work in New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, and then worked with Fox Online, worked with a Yahoo affiliate, the Score 1260, and at 26 years old with 27 cents in my pocket and $103 in my bank account, I had realized that I had been working with people, well, I had already known, but I was sitting there at 26 saying, I'm working with people that don't have morals and values. I'm working in the media world where they don't talk about God. If I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it right, I want to do it for myself. And I'd always been myself, but I was working for bosses that I had to fight for my morals when they didn't have them. I was talking about God and they weren't. So to me, I started my company and, we just turned 13 years old this past Sunday, which is insane. And I've been broadcasting for 21 years and we've become national and international. And I cannot thank God enough for all of that. But, that's why I respect a story like yours and what you're doing, because when you bank on yourself and you believe in yourself and you trust in the Lord and you work your tail off and you hone the talent that he gave you and that's your gift back to him, the sky is not even the limit. So, I got into this for a love of telling stories and bringing people together and believing that I can do it. And I continue to do it because I genuinely want to make my world small for all the right reasons, and I want to leave the world better than I found it, I guess is how I would answer that.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And actually, funny that you say that. I actually wanted to be a sport broadcaster myself, and actually went to USF and it was in the mass communications major and was trying to do that. But then I went to Weber. They didn't offer that, so I went to sport business management. But yeah, man, that's kind of like my dream too. When I was a kid, is I wanted to be a sport broadcaster, and I looked at ESPN, and I loved College Game Day, and I loved just talking about sports. How cool that would have been just to be a part of that and do stuff like that every single week. I think that's just so cool, man. So I love that story, man, and I'm glad that you stuck with it and you're still doing it.
Yeah, oh, happy to do it, and happy to have you on here and make sure that we continue to let you have that broadcasting side of things. My question back to you, Baylin, is if you, I'm going to ask you to be deep in this world here. If you became the president of the United States in 2028, who would you name to be your vice president? And what is the first thing that you would want, your first executive order, the first thing that you sign and say, hey, this is going to be part of my legacy?
Man, that's a really good question. I think my vice president would be my mom.
Okay.
I would hire her in a heartbeat because
I love
she
it.
is the hardest worker I've ever met, and she is a go getter, and she will make sure I don't put myself in any situation where I will be backlashed, especially when all America is watching. I think that an executive order that I would probably put into place. Man, there's a lot of good ones here. And I do think Trump's doing a good job of most of them, just off the record or on the record. But I think that, man, he just did something with college football in the NIL space. But I would do something more football related, and pretty much put no cap on NIL. I would say it would be up to the business owners and let them figure it out and make sure you pay your taxes. But yeah, I think that I would do something along the lines of NIL space with college football, just because that's what my passion is along the lines of football and sports. So I do something like that, and I would definitely do the March Madness stuff every single year and showcase who wins. And I would make sure that I would be at every big time sporting event as the president and make sure sports is a priority in America.
Well, I will say that he was, and JD Vance and Elon Musk were all at the Army Navy game that I was at. So they were at that before he
Yes.
became the president. And he's been to the most Army Navy games ever for any president. And he's been to some of them when he was president elect before he was in office.
Oh, wow.
Your question back to your final question back to me.
Who is your favorite sports team and or player and why?
Okay, so I'm a Jaguars fan. I'll go to football. I am a Jaguar. I know. And listen, I'm upset with them right now. I know you love your Dolphins. So my first favorite player, and I have record and receipts of this, is Dan Marino. And when people want to argue with me on who has the best arm in the history of the NFL, Dan Marino's name is usually the first one that rolls off my tongue. But I would say that, I mean, yeah, I'm a Jaguar fan. I love Fred Taylor, always have, and just a big fan of him. Loved watching him. And in Dan Marino's last game, he had a massive run. He had a heyday against Miami, and they beat Miami 62-7 in Dan Marino's final game. That was that great Jacksonville, Miami. But yeah, I mean, I'm a Jaguars fan, but there's a lot of things I would change. And I will say this candidly. It matters who you have in your building. And there's a couple people that they brought in their building that treat people very, very poorly. And it just bittered my taste to a place that I absolutely love. And so I hope that God will help to change their hearts, warm their hearts, or that, maybe they'll just go somewhere else. But what I know Jacksonville to be is not who they have been recently. And I think that there's some front office stuff that has to get figured out. And it kind of hurts. It really genuinely hurts my heart because I've loved so deeply the people there. And I feel like there's some people there that really treat people as sub-level. And I don't like that.
What do you think about the head coach in his first interview? Go Duval. Oh man, dude, that's when he lost me. I'm like, yeah, this dude ain't cut.
Yeah.
He ain't cut.
I actually did that on the show. I said I need that to be a hotkey, the Duval. So it was a very.
Dude, that was the most feminine way he could have done that. And Duval is such a dark and nasty place that you don't want to be a part of unless you're a dude there. And he goes Duval. It's like, bro.
And it was the eyes. It was the eyes.
There, bro.
It was how he did. It was his like the way he opened his eyes. It made me feel very sick to my stomach. So my question,
and then he smiled with it. It was like, oh, dude,
yeah. Duval. And I was like, oh my god. And I can't. It's on my phone. I had some people sent it to me, and I got sick to my stomach.
Oh, dude,
But
don't worry. This whole season, you're going to see that probably a lot.
oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
going to be.
Oh, I know. It's like we lost today because we're dual. So I can't. I can't. He is. I mean, if he was a Disney character, I would have been unsettled. I would have been unsettled if he was a cartoon version of himself, not even just himself. So I'm sick
Dude,
to my
that's
stomach right
hilarious.
now
He
that you.
looks like a cartoon character.
I know you brought it up, and now I'm sick to my stomach more. So my final question to you is: if you became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins tomorrow, who would you go get at quarterback, or are you fine with Tua?
I'm not fine with Tua. I am very vocal about that. I think Tua's great. I think he's a mid-level quarterback in the NFL. I think he's a phenomenal college quarterback. I was honestly wanting Justin Herbert out of that draft.
Okay.
I think that if Herbert was with the Dolphins, I think we probably have already at least competed in a Super Bowl, or maybe have won one, especially with the talent that has been surrounded by Tua the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's honestly a shame and pitiful that Miami hasn't at least won an AFC championship. I mean, dude, the team, I believe 2 or 3 years ago, unbelievable, and we still did absolutely nothing with it. Lost first round
Yeah.
of the playoffs. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. I think we went like 13-3 or something like that and lost first round. But at the end of the day, man, I would put everything I can right now to try to get Cam Ward. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. If I had to choose one quarterback right now with his youth and what he can do on the field, I think he's the next big time Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to do great things. As long as he has an offensive line that can protect him, he's going to showcase his ability to do anything he wants to on the field. I think they saw a glimpse of that in their last scrimmage that they did at Tennessee. You just seen, the vintage Cam Ward. People are going to be like, he can't do what he did in college in the NFL. They said the same thing about Lamar Jackson. The kids, Cam Ward, once you got that it factor, you got the it factor. And I think, he's only going to get better. And he's just already got the confidence in him and the alpha mentality. And so, yeah, man, I would go after Cam Ward. But in realistic terms, I wish we would have had Herbert over Tua right now.
Okay.
And I do believe the Dolphins need to be very strategic in what they do the next year or two, because Tua's one injury away from literally seeing a catastrophic thing on the field, which I hope never happens. But I don't even know how he's still playing football, to be honest with you. If I was, he's got so much money, run. I know you love the sport, but you literally got tapped the last time you got injured, and you're on the field and your body locked up again on the 5-yard line. I don't know why you're risking everything for that. It is what it is, but at the end of the day, he's got to make that decision for him and his family. And yeah. I just pray to God, as a Dolphins fan, watching it every single week, I don't ever see something drastic happen on the field where he can potentially die or be paralyzed. And we see it, and we kind of said, hey, we ignored the signs, especially as a franchise for the Dolphins. I think they need to strategically go after maybe the next in line, whether they groom him the next couple of years. But they need to go after a big-time quarterback and not have to wait till the 7th round to get Quinn Ewers. I think we need to go after, a guy that's already has experience in the NFL, who might be a starter now or a backup that we're going to groom for the next one in line, because Tua, I don't think, is the answer in Miami. If I was a head coach tomorrow, I would be cutting a lot of players and building enough salary cap to go say, hey, Cam Ward, we need you back in Miami, buddy. It's time to roll. I don't care what Tennessee has to do. We're gonna make it happen.
There you go, from Baylin Trujillo. And Baylin, I want to do something here before we go, since we both have our faith in God. I want to pray together, if that's okay with you. So,
dude, are you kidding me? That's the best thing ever. And shout out to you, man, for not being ashamed of the gospel either, man, and promoting that on your podcast. A lot of people, they may look at it a certain way, but at the end of the day, God's going to, keep us accountable for what we're doing. And that's why I started a Bible study that I do every Monday night with quarterbacks. And I put out the link for everybody across America. If anybody ever even yourself, it doesn't even have to really be quarterbacks, just anybody that wants to learn about Jesus for an hour on a Monday night. I started that about a year ago, and Brady Hart, who's now at Texas A&M, kid that I trained, he's one that really inspired me to do it, because he was bold in his face and started Bible studies at Cocoa High School. And so by doing that, I'm like, why not have, why can't I do something like that through Zoom and having the avenues of doing that? So I did that. So, man, I really appreciate you being bold in your faith and not, hindering that and shying away from that in a broadcast and in a media world where God's really not talked about or looking down upon if you ever mention his name, or you'll get canceled, So I'm glad that you're continuing that, and I pray that you continue to do that. So, yeah, man, I love to end this thing in prayer for sure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're doing in the Bible study that you have and making it bigger than football. So I'll lead us here in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, I would like to thank you for this conversation with Baylin today. I'd like to thank you that he has the opportunity to be a husband and a father. I want to thank you for the upbringing that he had and the connection that he has to his mom. I want to thank you for all the work that he's doing. I ask you to guide him towards you in every step that he takes and guard him from all that is not you. I ask you to give him clarity and focus and to continue to know his purpose. I ask you, God, for everyone that's watching and listening, and to all of our loved ones, to be healthy, safe, and happy, to live our lives to the truest that we possibly can, to live for you. May your will always be over our want, and may you help us all to heal completely and for good, and no matter what, through you, and to handle well whatever comes our way in and out of our control. May our loved ones that have passed on be with us in heaven, here on earth, because dying you destroyed our death, and rising you restored our life. Thank you for allowing us to be big kids. It sounds like we both are, Baylin and I, and just enjoying our lives every single day. God, you know I feel overly blessed, and I intend to pay that forward every step I take. Please help for Baylin and I to do that, and may we all just be safe and sound in your loving arms every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen, brother. Amen. Thank you for that, brother.
Of course. Well, thank you for this conversation, and the first of many, I hope, Baylin, and I look forward to talking with you soon, and God bless. And if I could send you anything as a closer here, I'll just say Duval.
Oh, man, come on, bro.
I had to. Yes,
sir.
You brought it
up. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. God bless, man. I look forward to doing one of these soon in the near future, man.
All right. Talk soon and take care. My best to your family.
Go Canes.
And Syracuse. Take care, man. That coming from Baylin Trujillo here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are going to take a step aside where sports truly meets that thing called life. Thank you for your patience. For those of you that are waiting for Denai Bowman to join the broadcast, and happy we got to pray. I never wanted to end a prayer and do the sign of the cross and then have to do that crazy Duval, but it was funny, so I had to. I couldn't help myself. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we spin back around here, I will have the opportunity and the privilege to welcome Denai Bowman back to the broadcast. So stay with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports
recording in progress.
Life. Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole for
Recording stop.
We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I have the opportunity and the privilege to have Denai Bowman back on the broadcast here. She is no stranger to the show. And in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats, we have the Binghamton women's basketball alum and now a professional basketball player, which is so awesome to say here. Denai Bowman here with us, picture in picture. And Denai, first and foremost, as I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm going to introduce you this way, and John Hartrick, I hope you're listening, to the soon-to-be Binghamton University Hall of Famer, because we're going to speak it into existence. How are we doing today?
I am doing well. It's such a pleasure to be here, as always.
So, I mean, we're pro, right? Coming out of Binghamton, professional basketball player the last couple years here. It can be done through Binghamton, and it has been done through your story. I love what Binghamton has worked toward, and I love what avenues and opportunities persist through here. And I'd love to just, get a glimpse of what these last couple years have been like for you. I'm not surprised that you're a professional player, but I love the fact that we have this Division I school in the southern tier of the state of New York, and that there is this avenue to get a fantastic education and to also continue to be an athlete. So how have these last couple of years been? I'd love to jump inside and be a fly on the wall of this journey, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's been a dream come true. I've dreamt it since I was in the 10th grade. Going into Binghamton, previous coach at Binghamton, Coach Ward, she knew my goals. She knew what I wanted to reach, and she helped me reach them. And to say that I'm finally here, still working hard, still grinding, and traveling the world doing something that I love, it's a blessing.
And for you, I mean, like you said, since 10th grade, this was your dream, this was your vision. What made you, I mean, there are people that say, I want to do this and I want to do that, but you got to put the work in. What made you so dedicated and so focused on what you need to do? I mean, we live in a world where I feel like people sit on the couch and they go, well, if God exists, then there should be money here. If God exists, then like my husband or wife should be walking through the door right now. I mean, they should know where I live. Why are you the type of person to say, if I want it, I got to go get it? Because that's not the world that we necessarily live in right now.
Right. I think a part of it was me. Once I kind of fell in love with the sport, I fell in love with the process. So yes, I wanted it, but a part of me wanted to earn it. Like, I didn't want it to just be given to me. Like, I didn't want a handout. So me just putting in the work that I do and grinding countless hours, it makes the victory more satisfying.
And having all that time that you put in, you said Beth Ann Shapiro, or the previous coach for Binghamton University, I know your family loves you, but I don't know if they love you more than Beth Ann. So, I mean, I probably could go back and find the text messages of her saying like, hey, you got to come down. You got to see the team, got to see Denai. Like, I mean, it was, and when I spoke with you both at a post game, and I think that was the first time you and I spoke in person, like you could just see her light up of how proud she is of you. So I have to ask you this, like, do you believe that there's anyone that could possibly love you more than Beth Ann Shapiro Ord?
Honestly, I put her on the same level with a couple people, but they're all in my top 5. Like, #1 diehards for sure.
What did she say to you about what she saw in you? I mean, when you go back and you look at those moments, you remember the initial conversations. What was it about you that she said, like, hey, I believe you'd be a good fit for this team. I believe, that you should be here and help me run this program, because she really leaned on you leadership wise. So do you remember those initial conversations of why she wanted to bring you in?
Kinda, so long ago. She basically, I think the main thing that stood out was like she was the only head coach that kept reaching out. I had a lot of assistant coaches, but she was like the main head coach that was just like, listen, like, I think you'll be a great fit. And she broke down my game, telling me how I could fit into her style of play and her style of coaching, and just the consistency around it. That I was just like, okay, that was really it. I don't remember like verbatim, but I think that was the main thing that stuck out on why I chose Binghamton.
And when you made that choice, right, some coaches will act a certain way when they're recruiting you, and then once you're in, they're on to the next one. What was it about Beth Ann that stayed true, that stayed consistent to you?
I think her just constantly staying in my ears. So whether it was like my freshman year, she wanted me to attack the basket and be that defensive threat on the court. And then leading into COVID, it was being more of a leader because we lost so many seniors. And then just continue working on different parts of my game. She was just always giving me feedback, giving me things to work on, in a sense. So it never felt like I was left out when new people came in. So yeah, I think that was the main part of that.
And then obviously while you're at Binghamton, there's a changeover, right? So no more Beth Ann, and Mary Grimes comes in. How did you navigate that world? Because that was much later in your collegiate career, obviously toward the tail end of your career.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say, I don't think the right choice of word is worked out. But so she came when I was leaving.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the experience to get coached under her. But I said a few words, seen her in the gym a couple times. Seems like a great person. I know a few of my teammates that I kept in touch with. They love it over there. So yeah, they're doing well.
So, I mean, for you to go out in the Beth Ann era, I mean, was that fitting for you that the coach that brought you in is the coach that you got to kind of go out with?
Yeah, it absolutely is, because I'm comfortable with people that I know. So just having Coach Orr bring me in, and that's who I graduate with, was perfect. I didn't have to kind of reprove myself to someone else and adapt and try to figure out my game with a different coach's style. So it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, being one of the leaders of this program and seeing, now in the Mary Grimes era as it's going forward here, what can you say about where you felt like Binghamton was when you left, when you finished up? Where did you feel like Binghamton was at comparative to when you came in? Did you feel like, hey, I'm at peace, I feel like I gave everything to it, I feel like we're in a good place? Because it seems like there's an upward trajectory of this women's basketball program. Do you feel like you left it in a place where you were a part of that, essentially?
Yeah, in a few ways. I definitely feel like I was at peace, that I gave it everything. And I think that Eugene, the director, is definitely taking it in a place of growth where he's wanting to build those championship teams.
Yeah.
So I definitely think they're starting to reach those goals. I hope they are. And yeah, no, I have no regrets. I left everything out there, and hopefully all the Binghamton fans feel the same way.
Yeah, well, and I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but I don't think there's any way that you don't become a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, I know that you're not one that's going to sit here and be like, "Yeah, I'm awesome," and this and that. I mean, I know you're humble. When you do reflect on your career at Binghamton, though, and right before you left, you got honored, right? You had an opportunity to be on stage and be honored. When you look back on your time there, what do you think of? What can you say? Because I know you're not going to sit here and speak in the third person and say Denai Bowman's the best thing ever, but you really had an impact. And in my opinion, when I look at this years down the road, I feel like I'm going to say this program moving in the right direction, that some of the pioneers and the starters of this movement, wherever it goes to, that Denai's a part of this. Denai was a part of like the fabric of this thing happening. So when you do sit back and reflect, what do you think of? What do you feel? What kind of stays with you of your time there at Binghamton?
I think the biggest thing that stays with me is like the community, the support from like within and around it. Just like even when we had bad seasons, there was never that I saw no negative talk or anything. It was always uplifting. So that was probably one of my biggest takeaways, like from basketball and all of that.
Yeah, the positivity staying with the program. Denai, now that you've had a couple years under your belt to be a professional player, to catch people up on where that has brought you and what you have done and where you've been, just to go into, since leaving Binghamton, what your stops have been and what your experiences have been so far in the professional world.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, dream come true. I spent my last season in Morocco. So it was probably like, it was in a colder part. It wasn't in like the tourist areas. So okay. I was very secluded. But teammates were great. Just learning parts of a different language, and then experiencing a new culture. Yeah. It really makes you appreciate life in a different way, and just enjoy it more and not worrying about all the superficial things. So yeah, no, I loved every part of it.
Being in Morocco, so my closest connection, you're going to laugh when I say this, but my closest connection to Morocco is Epcot's Morocco Pavilion. So that is the closest I've ever gotten to seeing any of the culture. I don't know if any of the buildings look like that. I don't know if they have the magic looking lamps in Morocco, if that's just a Disney thing trying to make us think that they do, but they got carpets. I mean, it's a lot of Aladdin looking stuff in Disney's Morocco. So I have to ask, what was Morocco's experience actually like? And did you come across a lamp of any sort? And if you did, be honest with me, Denai, did you rub the lamp to hope that there was a genie? I got to know.
So I didn't see any lamps, but a lot of I remember, if I remember Aladdin correctly, a lot of the like different like artifacts that they showed in like the shops when they were like stealing and stuff. Yeah. All that was pretty accurate. Like everybody out there selling stuff, accurate. And the types of artifacts that they had out there was pretty accurate. I didn't see any lamps though. I saw a lot of rugs. Don't know if they were flying or not, but wasn't gonna try that out. But no, it's very, I think what I like most about that culture was everyone was always outside. Like you rarely saw people inside. They were gathering, they were playing soccer, they were talking. It was just beautiful. Yeah.
So like you said, I mean, the thing you took away the most, and I can hear it in your voice, is the fact that people were together. They were outside together. They weren't trapped in their house. They were interacting with each other. What did you, I mean, for you to see like a culture that's so, let's be outside, let's be together, like let's not be cooped up in the house, let's spend some time. We're not, on our phones and watching TV and doing this, that, like we're actually together. Like what about that culture really speaks to you of spending quality time as opposed to what we do in America, which is be in the same room all on our phones, not paying attention to each other?
Yeah, no, it kind of woke me up like for the first couple months. I'm like, wow, like we spend a lot of time indoors in our rooms, like you said, watching TV, scrolling. Um, so it kind of just made me when I come, of course, when I came back to America, it made me want to fellowship more with friends, family, just like getting to know people in different ways. I feel like a lot of my relationships are superficial, and that's because we're so distant and not actually getting to know each other on a deeper level. So I definitely wanted to work on that once I was back over here.
And do you feel like you have worked on that? Do you feel like there's not a superficial motif really anymore, that you're trying to have very purposeful relationships?
Absolutely. Definitely in the people that are close to me, I feel like I'm getting to know them on a deeper level, asking those deeper questions, not just how are you doing, how was your day type of situation. But just getting to know more about them in different ways and other things that they like to do besides either if they play sports or watching me play sports.
And I got to ask you about some of these. So I'm going to try to say this word. So Chef Shawan, is that right? Is that close?
Yeah, close enough.
So yeah, so the blue pearl here, I'm looking at some pictures of their little waterfall. I'm seeing walking through. Well, this has got to be Morocco of what I'm looking at, because I'm looking at fruit and I'm looking at these buildings that look somewhat similar. And here's one of the things that people always wonder if it's a real thing. You see that? The bridge that looks like you have to run across it because a dinosaur or something in a scary movie is chasing you. So bring me into these pictures and this journey that you had about, like we talked about, being outside, Denai. I'd love to hear more about looking at this, because I'm all about going out and discovering, and I love seeing some of these photos here, especially the bridge. So I'd love to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had like a break during our season, and my teammates just asked us, "Do you guys like want to go to the Blue City?" That's what Chef Shawan is. So I was like, "Of course." So we hit a couple waterfalls. We went zip lining. That's what that was. So we were tied up to the wire above us, and then we got to walk across like 3 bridges, super long, pretty high. A couple teammates scared, couple ones not. Classic. But no, like that was a beautiful experience. We had some great food. What else did we do? I know like a couple of my teammates went swimming in the it was like a river, freezing cold water. They regretted that once they came out. Okay. But it was definitely an experience that was needed. It was kind of like team bonding.
Yeah.
In a way, and yeah, it was super fun.
Denai, I got to ask you about the food. I'm going to show some people. So this is one of the pictures of the dishes that you posted, and you also posted what looks to be some pastries here as well. So what was the food like in Morocco?
So those pictures was Spain.
That was Spain.
Shout out to them because I had a great time there.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, that was Spain.
Then let me correct myself here, and let me just say something about this. And I'm happy that it is. And God, thank you for this moment and giving me this chance, because that's not Morocco. The food that enticed me the most. I have Spanish background, and it's part of my heritage. So shout out to the fact that God put me in a place where I accidentally just shouted out Spain. So I would love to do that. And to the Caraco family, my family out in Spain, much love and respect and appreciation. So with that being said, Denai, how amazingly awesome and above most things was Spain?
You went out. What was the last thing you said? I heard family
Yeah.
and it cut out.
I said how amazingly awesome was Spain?
Spain was beautiful. Like let me see. It was mainly the artifacts. I can't remember the name of any of them. But they were beautiful, well designed. Um, they had every dish you could think of. I had a Spanish tortilla. No, I don't think that was the name of it. But it was basically like egg and potatoes. It's like a breakfast thing they do, and it was really good. I took a cooking class, made a few Spanish dishes. That was fun. But no, it was definitely an experience. Stayed out there for 4 days. Went to forgot the name of the famous dance that they do. Flamingo dance. That's what it was. But yep, love Spain. Want to go back very soon.
So you said Madrid has my heart, and I have not been to Spain, but I do have my family, and they've watched the show, listened to the show before, and connected with me on social media. So my two-part question to you is, when are you going back, and are you willing to take me to see my family?
I may, depending on like our time frame, I may go when I'm in Greece, so it's following year. So it's either because I wanted to go to Barcelona, so I went to Madrid, so I wanted to go to Barcelona next. But we'll see. We'll see where life takes me, and then I'll definitely send you a shout if I decide to go.
You better let me know. I definitely need to know. But there is something else that you had in this Madrid trip, and that it is this book, The Power of Now. I'd love to hear more about why you decided to read this, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment.
Yeah. So I don't know if someone recommended that or if I just saw it. But I started reading it, and I don't know if you've ever like read a book and you like kind of like feel moved and enlightened while reading it. And I think every time like I dove into that book, like just like silence and nature and just reading,
Yeah.
like I felt enlightened, and it was really good. And basically what it was about was tune with your inner self and not letting the outside noise affect your construction moving, but not letting the outside noise affect who you are in the inside and change your mood, not letting what people say or how people react to things alter what you're doing in life. So I thought it was a really good book. That highly recommend it.
God's timing is perfect. And you were just talking about outside noise when outside noise was happening on your side with the construction. But I do want to say this. So I have a quote that I created. As far as I know, this is my quote. I didn't find it anywhere. I just said it one day because I needed to hear it myself. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. And so we're the ones that internalize things that belong outside of ourselves. And I'm going to tell you a little story because, you know, you hear athletes say this, and obviously with you being a student athlete in college and now a professional athlete, I'm sure you can go with me in this world of, I'll hear athletes say, cheers, boos, I try to drown them both out. Like I try to not hear either or. Because some people are like, well, you know, well, okay, you drown out the boo, but don't you want to hear the cheer? It's like, no, I want to stay consistent. So in the media, they haven't been that great to me historically, Denai. Not just you, not just the players and the coaches. They don't like each other. It's a very cannibalistic family. And, well, I'm not even going to call it a family, but I've met some good people. And recently, by the grace of God, I've met some good people in the media. And, you know, typically I'm not used to. I'm used to being in a room full of vultures. And so this guy decided to compliment me. I was down in Charlotte, and I was at the ACC kickoff, and I sit in the front row, and I raise my hand, and I ask questions of every team. And, like, you know, to me, it's like I'm going to give my absolute all in everything I do, or I'm not going to show up. So I'm sitting there. I get there. It's like the day that Bill Belichick's going to be there. People everywhere. And I sit down, I'm getting things ready. The guy behind me, he says, hey, when you get a chance, I want to introduce you to some people. I told them that you're great, that you're amazing, that they need to listen to you, they need to follow you, they need to do whatever you do. They can't ask stupid questions. You ask good questions and all this stuff. And he was being kind, but then he introduced me that way. And so he brings up this total stranger, probably in their 30s, 20s, 30s. And he was like, you know, hey, and so I'm looking at this guy like I'm not much older than this guy. And he's like, hey, this is Dan. You got to listen to Dan. You got to do what Dan does. You got to emulate Dan. Dan's the best, all the stuff. And I don't have an ego. So the more he was talking, the more I was like, ew, don't say that. Just don't say it. Like, come on now. And I was getting kind of sick to my stomach. And then he introduced me to a bunch of kids. And he's like, this is their first time here. They're all in college. And I told them that they can't ask stupid questions. They should sit here and listen to you and take notes of what you say. And I just got to a point where I looked at him and I was like, yo, kids, I said, it's nice to meet you. And then I kind of just ignored that. And I was like, what's your name? You know, where are you guys from? What are you doing? Like, be yourself. And then he kept saying it. And I said, dude, I said, I'm literally here. Like, I'm serving God. I'm being myself. Like, I'm just here to be myself. I'm just doing my thing the best way that I know how. And in that moment, I called my brother because I'm an only child. But you asked me in my life, I got 7 brothers. And my brother Isaac, I called him up, and I love him dearly. And he's very close to my heart, and I could be honest with him about anything. I don't know how to be dishonest, but it's like I can live in that safe world with him. So him and I are talking, and I said to him, I said, you know, the media's been giving me crap for such a long time. And then they finally gave me like this really big compliment, and I saw them, I kind of took them in similarly. I was like, I don't need to hear either. I don't need to hear y'all being nasty, but I also don't need to hear y'all like trying to give me an ego because I don't have one. And I told him, I said, I kind of saw them the same. And he's like, really? Like you saw like negativity and positivity? And I was like, not like that. I said, I just realized in that moment that I waited my whole career to have somebody say something really nice because people have been so mean. And when they said it, I was like, dude, I don't even need to hear that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that as a professional player. And if you can parallel with me that world of like, I waited so long to hear that, yeah, Denai. And then you're like, you know what? God and I got this. We don't even need to hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. So it's like, I don't like when people boast about me. It gives me that ick feeling like, okay, they get it. Like, let's move on. Let's talk about something else type of thing. Of course, like I'm grateful for it all. But I don't want to be around it when you're kind of talking about me in a sense. So I have, when I'm playing, like I zone everybody out. Like I don't hear cheers, boos. Only thing I actively listen for is my teammates and my coaches. And it's funny because my mom always gets mad. When she comes to my game, she's screaming top of her lungs. Yeah. But she's always like, why don't you acknowledge me? I'm like, I truly don't hear you. It's like, I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm just doing it to kind of protect my peace.
Yeah. And like you said you actively listen. I tell people this all the time. I say, when I'm in a restaurant, if I'm with somebody at a restaurant, I'm eating, family, friends, doesn't matter. And so we're at the restaurant, we're hanging out, and they'll say to me, can you hear this person? And what they're talking about, fighting with their wife, and can you hear that person over there and this and that? And I go, no. They go, what do you mean no? It's so loud. I don't know how to describe this perfectly, but I'm going to attempt to describe this. And I think it's going off of what you said. So I feel like you and I can be on the same wavelength. Because I'm listening, I'm always focused on the person I'm with. So my ears are focused on you. So everything. So if you and I were sitting right now, we were having lunch, I'm listening to you and there's all this stuff going on and I can hear it, but it's just kind of like ambient sound. I'm not dedicated to it. And if you say to me, can you hear what this woman's talking about? I have to literally like turn you down and turn them up and switch the dial. And then I can pick up what they're saying because I'm always actively listening to the person I'm with. Is that like the wavelength that you're talking about?
Yes, and it's so funny because I have another example of that. It's kind of like, so when we're like practicing and stuff and like our coaches are giving instructions. You know, you kind of have like some teammates talking, kind of trying to like whisper and stuff. And then like I'll have a teammate ask like, "Did you hear what so and so just said?" I'm like, "No, like I was paying attention to the coach. Like I can't hear both at the same time. Like, yes, I knew they were having a conversation, but none of my focus was there because I want to know what the next instruction is so I don't get yelled at." So yeah, no, in the same sense, we are in the same boat.
Yeah, and I love it because people are like, how can you not? And I said, I have to turn the room down. And it's weird, though, but like musically, and I did this with a 50 Cent song because I'm not a 50, well, I can't even say I'm not a 50 because I feel like now maybe I would be more a 50 fan, but I like hip hop. I was just never a 50 Cent fan. But I would tell people I like his beat, but I don't like the lyrics. And they're like, how can you hear the beat when he's rapping? I said, because I can separate them in my head. Can you do that?
Yes, and that's exactly what I do when I'm like listening to music. It's either I like the beat of the song and that's why I'm listening to it, or I like the lyrics of the song and that's why I'm listening to it. It's very rare that it's both.
In the rarity, who do you like to listen to, the lyrics and the music?
So I just got into like these new artists. They're Christian rappers. His name is Colby, and the other one name is Caleb Gordon. I think like they're two different type of flavors. But I like both of them, and I love their beats and their lyrics. So those are my two most listens to at the moment.
Well, make sure after we're live here that you text those to me because I want to check them out.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we got here. So here with Denai Bowman, Bearcat Breakroom, Binghamton women's basketball alum turned professional athlete, just was in Morocco, and you heard it here first, promised me that we can go to Madrid. And so, listen, all I know, Denai, is allegedly I have a cousin who, I don't know if he still is, but he's been the mayor of 2 cities by Madrid. Like, they're out here doing their thing, and I see the videos of Ana Maria, my cousin, and her son, and they're like, during the day, they're out playing soccer on the beach. I was like, man, like, there's parties all the time. There's like people get married every 5 days. Like, there's just a lot of stuff going on in Spain. So I feel spoiled to get to talk with you about it because you got to be there, so I get to get deeper into it. But I'm a fan of seafood. I actually love octopus. If it's
Oh wow.
So I got to ask you, like, what did you get in Spain that was the best thing that you had?
Best thing. So I'm not a big seafood person. So I think what was the best thing? It's called frittata. And it's this bread. And they kind of like dress it with different stuff. And that was really good. But I did have I think it was squid. I wanted to try it just to see, and it was actually really tasty. But I'm not huge on seafood, but I do like to try different stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I will say when I was in Capri in Italy this a few months ago, my dad and I, 11-year promise that we made with each other to go there, and I had octopus pizza. Man, that was it was
good.
It was really, really good. And I mean, it's so unique. And then somebody just told me recently, they're like, I like octopus, but they're sentient beings and they're very smart. So now I don't. And I was like, dude, don't mess up my octopus pizza and make me feel bad for eating an octopus. They're like, well, they're kind of like a dolphin. I was like, but they're not like a dolphin. Dolphins don't suction onto you and squeeze you till you die. So like, I mean, we got to be fair here. Dolphins are like human beings. Their brains are very close to ours. And they can do things, and I've like swam with the dolphins. They come up right next to me, and like they told us all, they're like, you can get out of the water. Y'all are done. The 2 dolphins came over to me and like laid at my side, and they're just in the water. And then the guy looked at me and he goes, you're a natural. And I was like, dude, I'll stay here all day and pet these dolphins. But now they got me feeling bad for the octopus, and I just,
yeah,
I'm gonna start feeling bad for shrimp, and then life's gonna get really weird for me.
Yep. Typically how all that works.
So today, before we jump into rapid fire, reflecting on Binghamton, thoughts, hindsight 2020, on playing there and getting your education there, and if you felt like it helped to prepare you for where you are right now.
Absolutely. I think just being in that atmosphere, it prepared me for adulthood, communicating with people. The master's program I was in, I started my business from what I learned from that few classes I took. So a lot of things helped in different ways, just preparing me for where I am now and what's to come.
You said you started your business. What's the business?
So I run an Airbnb business.
And I mean, in today's world, it's got to be good. So bring me into how it's been so far.
It's been really good. Just figuring out new ways, like working my books, marketing. But no, it's been consistent. People have been in and out. They've loved it. So I want to continue just expanding on that, finding new avenues to just build myself and build my finances.
Is it like around where you grew up, like getting an Airbnb in there? Or is it like in different places? Where is it?
So I want to do different cities. Right now it's in DC.
Okay.
So it's, of course, a high tourist area. But no, not where I grew up. I don't think anybody would rent Airbnb here. It's nothing to do.
Well, you're Clinton, Maryland, right?
Yes, correct. So we have to leave to go do stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to describe Clinton, Maryland to someone who's never been there.
It is a suburban area.
Okay.
With lots of local business owners, few chain restaurants, rec centers, playgrounds, lots of, I'll say 40 plus year olds. Sorry.
Oh, and we lost Denai here for a second. Hopefully we'll bring her back here momentarily. So we did have her here talking about Clinton, Maryland in this Bearcat Breakroom with Binghamton University women's basketball alum Denai Bowman here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. We'll look to bring her back in just a moment, and we'll actually take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Stay with us.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We have Denai here. As soon as she said there's not much to do in Clinton, Maryland, it cut her off.
Yes.
So you said it's a 40-something area and whatnot. And so, I mean, how far are you from Baltimore?
I'm about 45 minutes from Baltimore without traffic.
Okay. So are you an Orioles, Ravens? Are you Baltimore through and through? Is that your team, or do you lean on DC and say you're a Commander, a Wizard, and so on and so forth? I mean, where do you lie?
So I kind of lie in both. I'm a Ravens fan for football,
Okay.
but when I do watch baseball, I'll cheer for the Nationals. And then, yeah, I think I don't really watch hockey, but I don't think Baltimore has a hockey team. So Capitals I'll go with for DC.
Okay.
And then, yeah, no, I'm not a Commanders fan, though.
Not a Commanders fan. All right. So when we look at the world of the Baltimore Ravens, I'm not going to tell you what I did back then. I'm going to see your thoughts, and then I will respond. So I'm not going to load the question. Lamar Jackson, did you believe in him from the beginning, or were you I did in the beginning and I still do, or I didn't and now I do, or I didn't and I still don't?
I'm through and through from the beginning till now, and I still believe in him.
Okay.
He's going to bring us one eventually.
Okay, well, I will tell you this to a room full of crickets. So I interviewed Lamar Jackson back in the day, and him and his coach, Bobby Petrino, at the time at Louisville. And I said on this show, on Wake Up Call, sitting in this room in my studio, I said he will be an NFL quarterback. And I believe that he is going to do what he needs. Like, he'll be successful in the NFL as a quarterback. Now, I said that, and I say to a room full of crickets because the person that was on with me was not riding with me on that at all.
Wow.
And it felt quiet in general. And then, of course, the media out there in this world, they similar thought that he would not be. Because when he had that first game and he threw like 5 touchdowns, they asked him what he thought about it, and he said pretty good for a running back. So you've always been a Lamar fan. He is one of the only players in Madden 26 that has been given a 99 overall rating. Does he deserve that rating? Has he, or I don't like the word deserve, has he earned that rating? And do you think that this is the year that he brings it home?
So I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
I'm the type of person, for football at least, I only watch the highlights.
Okay.
So I don't want to put something out there and be completely wrong. Like, unless they're like in the playoffs, then I'll be watching.
Okay.
So I don't really know.
Okay.
Honestly, the answer to that question. But in my spirit, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Yes, he deserves the rating, and yes, he's going to bring it home.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, that's going to jump us right into rapid fire. Denai, you and I get to put each other on the hot seat. You get to start things off. Any question, any topic, when you're ready.
Ready. What is the one thing you want to see when you go to Spain?
My family.
Oh.
But I would say beyond that, I want to see the beach. I want to see if it's really what they say it is, of they work and then they take a break and they rest and they go to the beach and they have celebrations and all this stuff. You know, I feel like we used to scoff at China in America and say they work all the time and like they're just like mules, and a lot of people do that in America now. So I mean, to see a place like Spain that is supposed to be very peaceful, I mean, it's something ridiculous. Like they haven't been involved in a war in like a million years, and so I would really like to experience the culture, but just be with my family. You know, they've reached out, a few of them, and we've talked, and they met my grandmother. So, and my great grandma Nana, I had never met any of my great grandparents except for Nana, and I didn't know that she was fluent because I can speak Spanish, and she was fluent in Spanish, but I never got to talk with her about it because she passed away when I was 4. So, you know, I would love to just hear about my grandmother, hear about my great grandma, my grandfather, because the family from Spain actually came to Brooklyn where my grandmother grew up. So they came here. And I would like the opportunity to return the favor and go back there. And they said, they're like, hey, you get a plane ticket. That's it. That's all you need. We got food. We got a place for you to stay. You're good. So I'd love to just go see them and spend time with them. And, you know, really the theme of my life and what we talked about today is to just be with people, be with the people that you want to spend time with, and literally just conversate with them and get to know them and enjoy the world. And like, you put me on a beach laughing and having a good time with good company and kicking a soccer ball around or just hanging out. I mean, like, I'm with it. And I don't know how good my family is at basketball, but I would like to think that I still got my shot. So, you know, definitely bring my shot out there for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. My question, I don't know if you knew that, Denai. I got recruited D3 because I'm 5'8", but I can shoot. That was my thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I can shoot, and I did work my tail off to do it, and I still get out on that court and absolutely love the game. It's one of the one places I could shut my brain off, but it's one of the only places. But yeah, so I love the game of basketball. I'm not going to challenge you because I know how good you are. But, you know, maybe we could play horse, horse, because I do have some trick shots in me. But my question back to you, okay, let's stick with horse. If you could play horse against any sports and or entertainment individuals, what 3 people would you want to play horse against and why?
I would pick Chris Brown because I know he plays basketball.
Okay.
And just the way he dances, I'm sure he can come up with some crazy things. I would also say, just because he's one of my favorite actors, Denzel. I don't know if I've never seen anything basketball on him, but just to be in the same room as him would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
And then my last person would be probably like Chelsea Gray for Las Vegas Aces.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to pick an athlete in there somewhere.
All right. I love the eclectic group and the choices, but I would say that his faith in God and the seemingly morals and values that he has, and his hard work, dedication, and determination to his craft and to just bringing light to people, I absolutely would love someday to sit with I would love to sit down with Denzel. I mean, yes. Absolutely, just to hear, anything. I'm drawn to a lot of the things that he has said, and Hollywood unfortunately does not lean on God like he does, and I find myself very immersed in his words and what he's putting out there beyond his movies. So I like that you picked him.
Thank you.
All right. What's your next one?
Next question. So you sat down with Lamar Jackson. What are 3 other celebrities, if you have, that you've sat down with?
Okay. So that I have already?
Yeah, have, or if not 3, then some that you want to, besides Denzel.
So we've had over 5,000 sports figures on this show.
Wow.
And we've had actors, actresses, illustrators, and writers on Superpowered Pop, our entertainment show. So I'm going to tell you 3 actors I'd want to sit with. And I would say Denzel, not just because you said it, but because like it's just the right answer. So Denzel, Robert Downey Jr., because my goatee, I do a lot of different things to it. And my oldest niece and nephew call me Tony for Tony Stark. They call me Uncle Tony, and she's Friday and he's Jarvis. Like they're my two guides. So I'm going to say Robert Downey Jr., and I do impressions too, and I've been working on my Robert, but it's not where I want it to be yet, but I'm working on it. So my Robert Downey Jr., I'd say him. I'd say Denzel, and I would say, I mean, in a perfect world, Robin Williams, but he's up in heaven. I would probably say Dave Chappelle, because I feel like Dave. And it's funny because like I like making people laugh, and obviously he does that well. But I would want to talk with him. Like he's deep. And I don't think people always get a sense for that. I think in his more recent stuff you could see he's deep. But I feel like I could have a really deep conversation with Robert Downey Jr. about his life and his journey. And I feel like I could really get deep into faith and like what he stands for and what he's about, like with Denzel, and really break down like how can you make people believe that you are every one of these actors. Like people talk about being typecast, but every time we see Denzel, we've seen him in 100 things, but 101 we believe you're that guy. And then in the case of Chappelle, to just dig into his mind and how he can how he has this interwoven mind of very funny things, but also he seems to be so intelligent and so crafty with how he assembles things. So I just feel like it would be a conversation that would make me a better person. That's why I would do it.
Nice. Those are some great people.
Thank you. My question back to you, Denai, if you took over my show tomorrow and it was Wake Up Call with Denai Bowman, what 3 sports figures would you have as your guests?
Sports figures.
Yes.
Like anybody.
Anybody.
I would do Usain Bolt.
Okay.
Serena Williams.
All right. I'm with it.
And granted, if it was a perfect world, Kobe, but I'll satisfy for Michael Jordan.
Okay. Can we have a discussion on who is the greatest ever? If it was between LeBron, Michael, and Kobe.
So, one, all of them are great. I always start with that. All of them are great in their own ways, but my GOAT is Kobe Bryant.
Okay. Can I ask why? Why Kobe?
So, I think mentality-wise, I was always, like, I think the Mamba mentality's gotten me through my basketball career. Okay. So, I kind of leaned on that, and then his work ethic was just unbelievable. Like, granted, like, most of the things I heard about him were, like, when he passed away and the stories that people told, and that it just made me in awe of him even more. But no, just his mentality is what stuck out to me. And then, of course, like, he knows how to win. So, but of course, all of them, they all do their great things. All of them have won and all that good stuff. It's an ongoing argument.
Well, and you said the Mamba mentality helped you get through things. How would you describe the Mamba mentality?
So, I think, like, to just put into simple words is showing up when you don't want to.
Okay.
And, like, for most of my college career, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm tired and I don't feel like doing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, I want to be great. I want to win. So do it anyway. So that was, and it's kind of like what I do with life now. It's like, of course, like it's things that you don't want to do, but do it anyway. And then he kind of reminds me like that mentality. I don't know if you know David Goggins.
I don't. I'm
He
not familiar.
You don't.
No.
You should look him up. He was a Navy SEAL,
Okay.
and his story is absolutely amazing. I just read. I forgot the name of his book. I think it's. I can't win. I don't remember the name, but David Goggins. Look him up and let me know what you think about him. He has that same kind of Mamba mentality, but pushed it to another level.
Yeah, so I just have I put it in the feed here. Look up David Goggins according to Denai. I'm gonna make a little note for not myself, but for everybody to make sure that they do that. You got one final question for me. What is it?
One final question.
Mm-hmm.
What, if you have scheduled it yet, what interview are you looking forward to next?
Man, good question.
I'm sure it's all of them, but
yeah, yeah. No, I would say. I mean, I just got to talk with Bill Belichick, and I love talking with Jim Phillips from the ACC. I love that relationship. He sent me a note after the kickoff, and I don't know if I deserve any of those words, but I value him tremendously. I mean, it really is the next one. I could talk to a 5-year-old, and I could talk to a world champion, and I treat them the same. But I would say the next one that I'm probably most looking forward to, we're working on doing an interview with a couple people we talked about last night, but I would say it's not so much an interview. I have a meeting today with someone who has been on the show, and I have an idea that I've been putting forward, and I'm really excited to talk with him about it because something inside of me, when we did an interview within the last couple of weeks, something was like, hey, you have this plan that is so unique and original, that different from anything that I've seen, and I just feel like he fits. And I get really, really excited about saying to somebody, you don't know what this is yet, but when I tell you what this is, like, how can you say no to me? So I would say that, and I would say the day that I sit down with Andrew Garfield and show him my Spider-Man script that is a totally different take on Spider-Man, and I would challenge him to not cry and not want to play that character, that version of Spider-Man, because I have such a desire to bring this to life. And it was literally based on 3 sentences that he said in Spider-Man No Way Home. All I needed was those 3 things. That was it. And
so is he your favorite Spider-Man?
I was in The Amazing Spider-Man too.
I think you told me that.
Yeah. So I was in it. So he is. So I'm in his universe. I am in the Andrew Garfield universe. But is he my favorite Spider-Man? That's a good question. I think that he can become the Spider-Man that no one will forget. And I really want to tell this story with him. I grew up on Tobey, but Tobey did Spider-Man 3, and he made Venom the alien into some disco-looking weird... whatever that was that him and Sam Raimi were... Listen, I respect Tobey. I respect Sam. I'd work with either one of them. Just, this ain't no dancing alien that saw Saturday Night Fever. Y'all need to leave that alone. And it was weird. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like Andrew Garfield, I'm going to put it to you like this, Denai. This script, when completed, if you know nothing about Spider-Man, I think I can get you to cry off of this. Like, I can get you to, I literally have to break him to put him back together. And the thing that he lost, I'm going to give him back in a way that no one's going to see coming. And I'm just so excited for him to, I feel like I'm telling my story in a way. Like, I feel like I was broken I was in a black hole. And the thing that I'm going to give him is something that I don't have myself in my life, but it's the one thing I always wanted. So being able to give it to him and then watch that on a screen, have him have it, it's like, well, you know, Spider-Man's my favorite character. So if I can give him what I don't have that I've wanted most, then in a way I'll feel like I have it. So, yeah.
Amazing.
I challenge you, Andrew, to not cry the day that I send you this thing. So my question back to you, if you and I were in a superhero film and you get to become a superhero and I get to become a superhero, who are you going to be, Denai? Who am I going to be? And what villain will we fight in what city?
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm throwing them all at you now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, like, you want, like, names? Like, superhero names?
Or you could just pick powers. You could say, hey, I got this power. Dan's got this power. This is where we are. This is who we're fighting.
Powers I can do.
Okay.
Okay, so I think the power I'll give you, I don't know if this is a name, but I'm just going to kind of describe the power. I don't know the name of it. So it's kind of like you can manipulate people's thoughts with your words.
Okay, so I have some psionic type of power. I have like that psychic. Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right.
And my power would be teleportation.
Which is the one that I always pick, teleportation and flight. So I have the power to, so I have like Professor X, and you have the Nightcrawler power to teleport wherever you want to go. I like it. I can respect it. So I can manipulate in the airport to make our tickets free, and oh no, wait, I wouldn't have to. So you can teleport us to Madrid, and then I can manipulate the situation that everything is free.
Yep. It's perfect.
So what city are we in, and what villain are we fighting?
What city are we in? So we could take a book from one of the recent Spider-Mans and go back to Spain.
Okay.
We could be in Madrid, and we are fighting I don't know. Villains are hard.
Is there a villain of a different story that you ever read or knew growing up where you're like, I would fight that villain?
I think Thanos.
Okay. So
he always interests me.
So I do have a few things with Thanos, but I will show this to you, and this is authenticated. So this is from last year. This is This is a Thanos card that I got from a pack that my older brother Joey gave me. So it's Josh Brolin as Thanos, but if you look up here, signed in gold, that's Josh Brolin's signature, and he signed Thanos underneath it. I met Josh Brolin at New York Comic Con, and he held this card and he signed it. So I actually have Thanos's official signature there. So,
look, it all just lined up.
It did.
It was perfect.
Denai, every time we talk, I'm realizing that there's so many parallels that there has to be a world where there's like a Denai and Dan show. There's got to be some type of thing where we can kind of just attack the world together. So we got to work that out. I mean, you've already been to different parts of the world that I haven't been. I've been to Italy, you've been to Morocco, and Spain. So we can tackle this. And you know what? The best place that you've ever been, from what you've told me, Clinton, Maryland. So with that being said, Denai Bowman, Bearcat Breakroom. Denai, please do not be a stranger. I'm going to check out Mr. David Goggins, and I'm also going to check out the book that we were talking about here today. But please stay in touch. I'm definitely not kidding. You and I have always been, on the same wavelength in a lot of ways. And so I appreciate that. I know you say you get to be yourself around people that you feel comfortable with. Hopefully, this is one of those situations, because I always appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely. Same here. Thank you for having me.
Denai Bowman, you will see her in a city, country near you, balling out, and you will also see her as the future mayor of Clinton, Maryland. Thank you, Denai, for your time, and I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. See you.
Take care. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, we are going to take a step aside. We still have the ingredients to success to do, and we will do that after this fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Under promise, over deliver. We are not a place that's constantly playing commercial breaks and barely having a show. We are a place that has to play our commercial breaks later on because we have so much show for you. We'll be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios right after this. Stay with us.
Avicolli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicolli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot Avicolli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily?
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find everything that you need for collecting sports cards at GG Cards and Breaks. Hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, AEW, while supplies last. Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, also while supplies last, because you could walk in there today at 11 and see something that's not going to be there today at 11:17. So make sure you get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks. They have singles, graded cards, packs, boxes, and you get to be a big kid, getting closer to your favorite players, your favorite teams, and your favorite games. You're getting into those Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Disney Lorcana and whatnot. They also have all the supplies you need. They have different size sleeves, different size top loaders. They have binders, boxes, showcases to have your cards protected, looking good, and that you can be able to travel with. So head out to GG Cards and Breaks today, the one-stop shop for your sports cards and trading cards. I absolutely love the experience there. Thanks to Josh Anthony and the entire team on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, it's time to get inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. It's time to get into our ingredients to success. The ingredients to success, as you know, is proudly presented every Tuesday by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. Avicolli's is on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, literally right down the road from Liverpool High School. You can see Liverpool High School if you stand on the corner that Avicolli's is on. So make sure that you head out there today for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Let them know that DT sent you. And today's topic for the ingredients to success, what does a friend have? What are those qualities for a friend? When we call someone a friend, what does that mean? What is it? So I would say the ingredients to success of being a true friend, somebody that someone can trust. I would say that's massive. Probably part number one. Someone who is trustworthy. Listen. Somebody who hears you and doesn't just hear want, but actually hears the words that are coming out of your mouth. Values them. Takes them in. Lets them kind of wash over them while they think about what they're going to say back to you. Somebody who listens with intent is what I would say. What else when it comes to a friend? What are ingredients to success of someone that you would call a friend? I would say someone who values you. Somebody who sees worth in you. Someone who believes in a two-way street, right? Believes that friendship, to me, friendship, if you describe someone as a friend, you're on a road with that person that's give and take. It's not you give, no take, and it's not them give, no take. It's a give and take bond. You share, they share. You speak, they speak. You offer, they offer. To me, when you call some, because the thing is there's this, I got so many friends. But do you? Or do you have a lot of acquaintances? Do you have a lot of people that you know? They're not necessarily your friend. Because to me, I know I have a lot of numbers in my phone. But do I have a lot of people that I consider to be friends? And then people say, well, Dan, there's true friends and then there's friends. And I would challenge you, and that's why I brought this topic up today, that you don't have true friends and friends. If you don't have true, if you're not calling your friends, if they're not true, if they're not honest, trustworthy, then they're not friends. See, to me, there's no such thing as I have friends and I have true friends. Because what you're essentially saying is I have people that I consider friends that I trust, and then I have people that I talk to that I call friends, but I don't trust them. I'm not going to go to them with the most important things. I'm not going to go to them with my secrets. I'm not going to lean on them. I can't be honest with them. So to me, there's no such thing as true friends and then just friends. They're either friends or they're acquaintances. And that's how I would change it. True friend, I would say just friend, right? Call that a friend. Because all your friends should be people you can trust and be honest with. And then the ones that are not true friends, those are acquaintances. People I know, people I say hello to, people I hang out with, but I'm not going to trust them with my secrets. I'm not going to trust them with my inner workings of my soul. I'm not going to share everything with them. I don't anticipate that they're going to be there for me. They're not someone that comes to my birthday. They're not someone that remembers my birthday. Let's stop saying true friend, and let's start saying friend, acquaintance. Because if you have friends that you don't consider true friends, then I don't think that those people are your friends. Because my people, If I call you a friend, there's weight to that for me. An acquaintance is someone that I know, someone that's positive. You know, I would say a positive person in my life that I know, but I'm not really close to. I know them, but I don't know them like that, right? A friend is somebody that I consider I can be honest, I can be true, I can share with them. Like I that's a small number. If I have 5,000 numbers in my phone, those aren't 5,000 friends. There's a lot of acquaintances, there's something there that can build, but then the friend is small, and then I have brothers and sisters. And that is even tinier. That's saying, here are my friends that I am so incredibly trusting of, and I believe love me and I love them, that I consider them family. And that is a small number. Because I think, they say this, they say the older you get in life, the more you start to realize certain things. The more you let certain things go, the more you don't focus on certain things. And there's a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that. As I've gotten older, I do adhere to the notion that I've heard when I was growing up, which is, you say you got 20 friends, 30 friends, 100 friends, but you don't. You might have 5. And that's true. The people that you interact with, that you talk with, the people that know about you, right? That are in your inner circle. You call them when you're happy, you call them when you're sad, you call them when you're chaotic, you call them when you're peaceful. You call them for advice, you listen. Those are your people. So I think in order to be a friend, you got to be honest, truthful, trustworthy, kind, compassionate, empathetic, willing to think outside of yourself, willing to be selfless, which doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. It means you don't only think about yourself, that you think about both people. Giving, understanding, consistent. That's one of the biggest words in my life lately now, is that I'm looking for people that are consistent. I look for where you are consistent. If you're nice sometimes, but you're consistently not nice, then that's who you are. And I don't want to be around you. If you're consistently good to me, good to my people, good to my dog, then okay, then that's who you are. That's the whoever you are most of the time, that's who you are. People say, I'm going to go over here and I talk this way with these people and I act this way, and then I go over here and I talk this way and I act this way, and I go over here and I talk this way and I act that way. No, you're a chameleon, but then I would say that nobody truly knows you, because if you go to 3 different groups and you talk and act different, then none of those people truly knows who you are, because they all know you as a different person. So who truly are you? I'm the same guy no matter where I am. It's just more people know more about me. It's not like I'm over here and I'm going to act this way, and I'm over here and I'm going to act this way, and I'm over here and no. I'm going to be who I am, but these people may not know as much as these people, which may not know nearly as much as those people. Because I'm a firm believer that your inner circle has to be really small. Like, you can have acquaintances and you can have friends, but the inner workings of, like, these are the people that I trust the most, it's got to be small. If you sit here and you go, I got 80 people that I trust the most, 1 or 2 or 10 of those people is talking behind your back. It's nothing's impossible, but the law of probability, right? The more that you have, the more that there's a chance of, right? The more people you have, the more there's a chance of someone might be the hole in the boat. So you got 80 people that you tell your entire life story to, and you think all these 80 people have my best intention in mind, and all of a sudden there's a leak, right? Somebody told a secret. Well, that's because trusting 80 people with everything about you, probably not the best plan. You know, you might have one, you might have three, you might have 8, you might have 2. But as I've gotten older, there's a lot of truth to the reality of those that we call our friends. You know, when you, and I had somebody say this to me before, someone I don't even know who like connects with me on social media, and we've had 0 conversations together, to my knowledge, of any merit or anything outside of pleasantries, and they call me their friend. You know, they see me in public, I'm their friend. They see me on social media, I'm their friend. I can't, that's bogus to me. We're not friends. We don't know each other like that. You know of me in the world, but we are strangers that happen to connect on social media. I can't consider that a friend. That's why I think it's weird when Facebook is like, this is how many friends you have, and it's got 3,000 people on there. And if I went through that list of people, there's probably people on there I've never spoken to. So when you call someone a friend, you really have to think about the weight of that. Do I trust them? Do they care about me? Do they listen to hear me? Or do they listen with their ears to just wait till when I stop talking so that it's their turn to talk? Do they value me? Do they remember things about me? Do they show up in my life? Are they consistent? Are they purposeful? Are they honest? Are they who they say they are? Because if any of those questions goes in the wrong direction, then that's not a friend. I had a friend that years ago I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to be honest in front of this person. I'm going to trust them with something. All these years have gone by and I've never had any of that stuff get back to me. So as far as I know, they have kept my trust. As far as I know, they have not broken my trust one time. So those are the ingredients to success of what a friend should have. We say we have so many, and in today's world, numbers matter to certain people, and we want to scream and rant. Oh, I got this many friends. Well, I have this. I have 14. Well, I have 17. Well, I have 25. Well, I have 35. Look at the quality and not the quantity. I would hire a person that's got one listener to their show that has such a high quality, a belief in God and such a talent and such a honing of that talent and such a quality show, rather than taking someone that's got 3 million followers who I don't trust a single word that comes out of their mouth. When you're focused on the numbers, you're not really knowing the people. You know, I want to be friends with Ariana Grande because she's got 5 million followers. Well, you should want to be friends with Ariana Grande because you have similar things in common and you trust her and you believe in her and she values you and you value her and she's someone that you know would be in your corner without having to ask her to be. The first person to the scene of an accident to make sure you're okay. The person that would pull you out of the vehicle. Not just because a lot of people like them. See, that's where we get lost in society is if you have a lot of followers, you must be a good person. That's not true. Jesus had a lot of people that were happy to see him die. Does that mean he wasn't Jesus? Does that mean he's not the Son of God? Because there was few people supporting him on earth and a vast majority condemning him to death. So by the numbers, if numbers state who you are as a person, then numbers would state Jesus was a bad person, not the Son of God. He's never coming back because he wasn't who he said he was. And that's not true. In my heart of hearts, it was hard for me to even get that out of my mouth to make that analogy because it made me sick to my stomach to even want to utter that Jesus isn't who he is because I know that he is. Well, how do you know, Dan? Well, because I've lived a life. If you're one of those people that's really close to me, you would know the inner workings of my story and how I know that God exists and how I can't hide from God and I choose not to. So when you are calling someone a friend, because we throw around brother, oh, that's my brother, oh, that's my sister, oh, that's my friend, oh, that's my guy, oh, that's my girl, yo, I got them, yeah, I got them too. We throw this stuff around because we want to be cool in the lingo, but you really got to think about you are what you say, right? You ingest that. So the more you call someone a brother, the more your brain thinks, okay, then whatever I think a brother is, this person has to be. And so if you just call everybody brother, then what's the value of that? I try to be very, and I'm not always perfect with it because sometimes I say brother and I don't mean it, but I try to be very purposeful with my words and my actions. If I tell you I love you, I love you. I feel that. If I say you're family, then you're family. If I say I'm your uncle, I'm your brother, I got you. And that's why I got to be careful who I say that to. And we all have to be careful about the people that we let into our lives. Because not everybody's in it to help us, and not everybody's in it to be with us, and not everybody is in it to love us up and be trustworthy. Some people are in our lives to see what they can get, take it, and run. And you got to know that. The last person I dated, the only thing she was interested in is what she could take from me. She was not here to give much of anything. She was here to take. And when I got hip to that, I had already cared about her, so it was hard to leave. People play on your heartstrings. But you cannot keep yourself around people that see you as an asset to their life in the sense of, what can I get from this person? What can I take from this person? How much can I gain from this person without really looking to give anything? What can I steal away? Those are not your friends. Those are leeches. Whether you're dating them, you're friends with them, your family, those are leeches. People that seek to take from you and disappear into the night, those are thieves. Okay, we don't call thieves family. Someone broke into our house, we're not calling them friends, family, hopefully not sleeping in bed next to these people. So you have to be very, very focused about the word friend and how you use that word. Because we use it so loosely, and we want to talk about how many we have. As opposed to the quality of the ones that we have. And that's why social media, in my opinion, has gotten it wrong when they say you've added a friend. There's a lot of people that follow you on social media that might be haters, but they just can't stop looking at what you're doing. Because they can't hate on it if they don't know it. You block them, now they can't see it. They want to see it, so they can talk about it, call their friends up. Hey, you see what such and such did? Stupid. People that become obsessed with you, those people are not your friends. Social media says friend and follower. I think we should only be following God, so I don't think that's the right term. And friend, there's a lot of people I'm friends with on Facebook that I don't know like that. So in the ingredients to success in today's topic presented by Avicolli's, look at what a friend should have. The characteristics that we talked about today. And really take some time with that. Are the people that you call a friend, do they show up? Are they there? Do they support you? Do they fight for you in rooms that you're not in? Do they value you? Are they consistently good to you and not just sometimes? Do they expect more from you than they're willing to give? Because growing up as a kid, and especially in today's society, we're taught you got to make as many friends as possible and have many, 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 many friends. And as you get older, you realize if I got 3 good ones, I'm overly blessed. So look at that definition of friend and make sure you take care of your health and your peace and your safety by surrounding yourself with people that are genuine and are truly in your corner. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Under promise, over deliver. We've been with you once again for over 2 hours, and that's a normal for us here on Wake Up Call. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you can save us. Make sure you do follow, subscribe on any one of these channels. Big time thanks to our North Carolinian listeners. We were just down in North Carolina with you this past week. I always love coming down to North Carolina. So happy to be with you as always. As John Swafford, the former ACC commissioner, would say, good to be with you. So, North Carolina listeners, viewers, visitors, head to Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines, North Carolina, 1788 Old Morganton Road, down by Pinehurst Golf Course, less than 10 minutes away. Big time thanks to our incredible team of partners in Central and Upstate New York: Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Pizza Man, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Brian's Landing, Canine Camp Ground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicolli's, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for the last 4+ years, and we will have our final Dolphin Dive tomorrow. So stay tuned for that Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time as Wake Up Call ends a wonderful, long, enjoyable time with Lemoyne as we set our sights on expanding our universe. So you can find our content with Lemoyne by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist. The Dolphins are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and Fins Up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month. Student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni throughout the year telling the story of the Bobcats. And you will find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. You also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is your exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. You'll find the Bearcats on the prowl every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, like today with Denai Bowman. You'll find stories with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni of Binghamton University by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Binghamton playlist, and you'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I want to thank my incredible guests inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Baylin Trujillo here with us today and his advanced quarterback camp. Very happy to have him on here to talk about BTRU's advanced quarterback camp, as well as his history, his love for the sport, and breaking down the quarterback position, talking about his network, his why, and having God at the center. Big time thanks to Baylin Trujillo. And of course, as always, many thanks to Denai Bowman joining us here after playing in Morocco, coming through Binghamton University as a D1 athlete and proving that you can play professionally, coming through such a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere and environment that is at Binghamton University. So that professional world exists, and it's existed for multiple sports, and Denai Bowman being somebody there to showcase the women's basketball team for Binghamton all over the world. And awesome conversation as always with Denai. We always seem to operate on a very similar wavelength, and so I love those conversations and appreciate her very much. And of course, Avicolli's for the ingredients to success. It's lunchtime, so head to Avicolli's, let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, or you can say DT sent me for a slice. Get that grandma's pie. That is my favorite. Barbecue chicken margarita. So many good things there. Just went there with my dad. First thing I did when I came home from being in Charlotte for almost a week is I went with my dad to get lunch. First meal that I had coming home to Central New York, I went to Avicolli's and got tortellini in vodka sauce with chicken. My dad got the same thing, and the garlic knots. Fantastic. Go to Avicolli's today, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, drink responsibly. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. We will talk with you all soon. Superpowered Pop, our entertainment show, has aired a bunch of new videos. Go to youtube.com/superpoweredpop or any one of our social media outlets, Facebook, X, and Instagram, at Superpowered Pop, and watch my review, non-spoiler of Superman, non-spoiler of the Fantastic Four, and my spoiler of Superman. A lot of great stuff. Got to work with Josh Gideon, and I appreciate that. It's all presented by Parker Banner, Kent and Wayne Comics and Games down in Cornelius, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. Go and check them out today. For now, from inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, God is good. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.